And starting soon up for like 20 minutes. Okay, there we go. So I watched most of
One
the.
second.
Oh yeah,
One
yeah, yeah. Go
second.
ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry. I'm like in the process of moving right now and it's like really stressful. Ugh. Hold on. This should be.
She has a new puppy.
What's she?
It's a little wiener dog. Give her a minute and I'll ask.
Okay, that should be good.
Okay. I have a quick question for you. Can you show your puppy again? My wife heard me talk about it. She's like, "Can I please see the puppy?" She's a vet
Yeah.
tech.
Oh my god, it's so tiny. It's
Yeah.
so cute.
8 weeks old. She's a baby.
Little weenie.
Yeah. She's
That's
a
a
sweet girl.
that's about how old my dog is when we got her. Now she's a big monster.
What kind of dog is she?
She's a lab pit.
Cute. I grew up with lab pit mixes.
I put a picture of her on Twitter like last week, and people really liked her.
Oh, cute.
So yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but you haven't streamed much, almost at all. This is the first time you've streamed in a long time. Was yesterday?
Yeah, in months, in like probably 2 or 3 months.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just left open the possibility that maybe I just missed it, and you were just like on other streams, and I feel like people were nicer than they were before to you, which was really interesting. There was a couple of shots, but like it wasn't like before where everybody just was like, "Fucking get her."
Yeah, I think that some of that is because of the way that I behaved. Like I was very instead of being like more bombastic, I was more I guess respectful. I was a bit condescending, but you know, that's just that's the name of the game. Um so yeah, there's that. But also I think that most of these people are pussies. Like you know, like I expected, you know, like the last time me and Stardust interacted, she was like, "Keep my name out your fucking mouth." And I was like, "What the fuck?" And I expected there to be like a bigger stink, and there just wasn't. She was fine and respectful, which I appreciated. And same thing with Kelly Jean. Me and Kelly Jean had that really, you know, Kelly Jean was really, really mean to me and me to her on that last Chud Logic panel in November. And I expected her also to be pretty rude to me, but she was pretty respectful the whole time also, because I was respectful to her, I think. So yeah, the chat was god awful, as you can, you know,
I
as I
contributed.
would have hoped. Yeah, it was
Not towards you, but I was flipping out when I watched the first time. I couldn't. There's there was a lot of fucking stupid in that panel. It was impressive. And after I watched it too, Tuna Chip came on and talked to me, and he pointed out the thing that I said is that you had the only point that actually that him or I thinks is a real counterpoint at all, which is that women's feelings matter. That's the only real argument that I thought existed, and you're the one that had that.
yeah. Well, it would make sense that you know, a panel of mostly men doesn't really think about that. Just kidding.
I think that people don't, when they talk about things like this, they don't care about people's feelings at all.
Yeah, I think this space is sort of like facts don't care about your feelings, sort of like logic bro sort of stuff. And yeah, I think it's important to talk about that, especially when like the only pro to deepfakes are like that you can come. It just feels like I don't know. Doesn't feel like it's going anywhere good.
Well, kind of.
And I
That's
think
kind
also
of the argument.
Kelly shared that what deepfakes did to her and how it was hard for her.
Yeah. I think that everybody there acknowledges the potential downside of it. That it can end up being bad. I think Tuna went really good with the direction of like we need to stop thinking about it just in terms of like porn. Like you can be basically framed for crimes that you didn't commit,
Yeah.
which is scary. And so like we need to think about those things too. But when it came to just the porn thing, I felt like almost at least half the people there uh just really couldn't emotionally handle having that conversation. Holy shit, did I
Yeah,
get raided? What the
Portland is
fuck?
burning as like a dipshit.
That's so funny that you say that. First of all, I love Portland. He's really nice to me, and we've always had good interactions. His everything that he said about the subject almost perfectly mirrors what I think about it.
I don't know. I think maybe I couldn't even really understand his takes through him like trying to be like vitriolic towards me. He like kept trying to like put in like a personal attack. It came off as very performative. Like performatively he wanted to like get me or something because of like who I am. So I was like it was hard to even listen to anything he was saying because it felt like he was just like you do porn, you do like he was like trying to catch me. And I was just like I
Um,
don't know.
I can't speak to that at all, but I can say that for the whole panel, he was just fuming because he couldn't speak at all. He because I was messaging him
He spoke a
during
lot.
it. Well, I was messaging him during it, and because at points where I knew like I had a point to make, and like he just couldn't talk, and I'm just like, you should say this. He's like, I literally can't fucking talk right now. Like, there's just a shit show. I think I originally wanted to be on there. I think if I would have went on there, I would have lost my fucking mind. Uh, to be perfectly honest, I don't know how uh the people that were on there that did keep it together, and not everybody did. I think Stardust went really fucking batty. She just she sort of contradicted herself throughout it, and she just like started like just telling people to shut up and that they're dumb fucks. Like Doobie kind of did the same thing. I just think that people's emotions got way too high in that to where like they couldn't have the conversation. Uh, and I do think that Portland is guilty of the same thing that I accused I think Doobie of doing to Smith, which was dismissing what you said, like basically just calling you stupid and not pointing out why you're stupid. Like if you're gonna call
Because he
somebody stupid,
couldn't.
explain it. Uh,
Because he couldn't. Because I'm not stupid. He couldn't explain it, but he did want to just like get one in, which
if somebody
if
does
that's your
that
gig.
and you don't explain why, I think it makes you look dumb. I think in the case of you, people people just sort of cheer on when people are mean to you. I don't.
Yeah.
So I think that it's easier to get away with it when it's an easy target. I think that that's why Doobie did it to Smith too. I think he felt like he's an easy target, so he just said,
Yeah.
"Shut up, dumb fuck," and then just like went ahead and talked over him. Uh, that was all really dumb. But you're even the points that you made that I disagreed with, I thought were the most solid points that I don't agree with. So I really wanna
What did you what's your position on it?
I think that deepfakes are essentially that it's manifest destiny. It's possible for us to do it, so we are going to do it. It's going to happen no matter what. So we need
So
to
you
figure
don't
out where
believe in
it's bad.
legislation around it?
Um, to some point, sure. I think that we need to figure out how we can stop it from being distributed. And there are ways that you can do that. Like, for instance, YouTube is huge. There's billions of videos on it. And if I try to put a video up with a song on it, even like 2 seconds of a song, it's like, hey, you fucked up. You need to look at this. There was a Doja Cat song that my kid was listening to in the background. I didn't even know that it happened. And it was like, uh, you you have a copyright infringement on your video. I was like, how? Why? We can scan videos for these kinds of things. We just need to make sure that our technology is going to keep up, but that requires people to care.
Yeah.
So I think that you should be able to do anything you want with assuming that it's private in your own house. I think a lot of people have a hard time understanding tech stuff because like we got talked about yesterday. We have legislation around CP, but it's still out there. It's still all over the place on the internet. People can still find it. The real issue with that is that it doesn't have enough funding. People don't actually care enough. They care a lot when somebody brings it up. They like to huff and puff, but when it comes to actually paying taxes to try to get things to move forward with that, people really don't want to do that. They're more concerned about the border, or they're more concerned about healthcare. These aren't things that
Yeah.
people want to talk about on a public stage. No politician wants to get up and talk about it. If you even talk about it in terms of combating it, they're putting a risk out there. So it's just certain things are really hard to get pushed legislatively, but we can't ignore the fact that this is something that we do as humans. If there's a place we haven't gone, we're gonna go there. If there's something that we can do, we're going to do it. So we need to figure out where do we draw the line, and I think pretty much everybody agrees that the line is distribution. Uh, so if somebody makes a deep fake porn of just anybody on that panel, I want to just be vague and not single anybody out. And I would say that technically it could be distributed as long as it never makes its way into that person's life and affects them in any way, because then they live in the exact same world where it doesn't exist. But because that's once it starts being distributed, that's impossible for it to happen. You just have to say you can't distribute it.
Yeah, I think I know where you're going with that. I think that I feel the same as you. Like, I don't think I really have like a differing opinion. Especially like I know what we're moving towards, right? I'm a progressive. I'm a transhumanist. I think that we'll be able to upload our brains someday into the cloud. So I get what you're saying.
Hmm.
I just think that like I don't know. I really resent the pornified world that we live in where we think that we should have access to things like that. Because I know that we have it and I know that we will, but I think we ought not to have. You know what I mean? Um, so if there was ever a time where I could vote on it, like could I vote for, you know, you to be a cyber criminal if you make a deep fake? I would. I would in a heartbeat. But, you know,
Even if you kept
I
it
also
offline.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, I don't think that you know, I think that there are other things that when it comes to like realism, when it comes to like technologic like realism to where it really looks like you, there's some deep fakes out there. I mean, I watched some the other day in preparation for this. And there was one who or preparation for yesterday, and there was one with like Emma Watson where it like literally looked like Emma Watson.
mhm.
And I was just like, this is how the fuck is this allowed? Like yeah, I'm to me, that's like digital that look I mean, that's a lot like digital rape to me, especially the fact that you're putting that, like, on a platform. So, obviously, I think we probably both agree that you shouldn't be able to distribute it, but I don't know,
Yeah.
I just don't think when it's realistic and I also don't trust this is the argument that Doobie was making that was like, you know, should we allow people to just have child porn in the comfort of their own home? To just make it, and we don't hold women's, you know, consent in as high esteem as, like, taking pictures of kids, which I don't know, let's say let's a hypothetical, I don't know, this might be TOS. Mm,
Um,
I'll try to mm, I'll try to skirt it, but let's say there's a no, I shouldn't.
you could abbreviate. You could abbreviate or something.
Yeah, let's say that there's a hypothetical reality in which you never abuse a child,
Yeah.
um, but you take pictures of children,
Mhm.
and keep them, you know, like, you go to the beach, you take pictures of a kid, being free at the beach, not wearing a bathing suit, if you know what I mean.
Mhm.
And, are you allowed to, like, keep that photo? Like, should that be illegal? Should that be allowed? And it's like, ethically, probably no, right? So, should we create legislation around that? I'd
Uh,
like to. In a perfect world, I'd like to. In my utopian pipe dream, I would like to, but
Um, I don't know. So it's kind of weird in that if you're in public, having the photo is exactly the same as having the memory. I think it gets a little bit different if you start sharing a photo of a child that's not yours. I went to a video game museum with my wife and girlfriend last month, and I was taking pictures of all the cool stuff. I was like, let me get a couple more before I go, and I went to go take a picture. Like, I wanted to get a picture of this thing, but there was a kid standing by it. And the kid standing by it themselves, because like I'm not a fucking weirdo, I'm not gonna do anything weird with this picture. Didn't bother me about taking the picture, but it's like I don't want this parent to see me taking a picture of their kid. They'd be really like no, I just want a picture of the old school fortune telling machine. I didn't care that your kid was there, but I don't want to have this conversation.
yeah, yeah.
So I think that when it comes to um, our values and ethics around kids, I think that the most important thing is that we have to be completely unemotional about it. We have to look at things pragmatically. We have to look at things
Sure.
logically. Just
And
like with
that's what
my
yeah,
kid, I
that's
can't involve my emotions. I can look at how I feel about it after the fact, but when there's a decision being made, it has to be. We got to use our brains. We use our hearts when we interact with them. We use our brains when we make decisions for and about them.
Sure, and I what Tuna Chip was saying yesterday that we have to think about, like, how far laws can go into our personal liberty and freedom. Like,
Hmm.
I get that, right? Like, I do get that, but I don't know. I don't know who's to say that we can't make laws based off of emotion? Humans are very emotional creatures. I
Well,
don't
when it
know.
comes to
Who's to
kids,
say?
I think that because that hurts kids. I've
And not
seen.
if they never know about it.
Well, no, the it does because if I make even just a decision. So for my kid, my decisions that I make for my kid is the law. There's no distinguishment between like I am the government to my child. My
Sure.
the government is also the government, but they're not going to interact with that because my kid's not fucking terrible. But the rules that I set are the law, and if they break the law, I get to decide what the punishment is for my kid, so that way they understand consequences and that they can take that and then they can interact with the law with the understanding of what happens when you don't follow uh, the law that I set. When I do that, if my kid does something, for instance, it came up that my wife was really upset that my kid was swearing in text messages. And I said, well, what's really the harm here? Um, if they're swearing at an adult, I think that this is probably bad because it's going to cause problems. It's going to one, it's going to reflect bad on us. It's going to reflect bad on them, the
Okay, well,
adult.
that's well, then does, jacking off to, like, random women not does that not have consequences?
No,
No, see, like, I this is where me and Doobie were talking about, like, I just disagree. Like, I
what's
we
the
know that
consequences of
porn
that?
we know what porn does to a brain. We know that it is akin to drug use. We know that it shrinks your frontal lobe. We know that it's not good for society in the way that people treat, women during sex. We know that women aren't there's a orgasm gap between men and women right now, and I think that mainly that's to do because of porn, because, our sexual script is now being taught to us with unrealistic movies that are not, conducive of actual sex. I think that there's a lot of bad things that come from porn, and especially AI porn. So I don't know.
Um,
My dog's going full frog legs right there.
so we don't fully understand the relationship between porn use and the decreased gray matter in the brain. We kind of have we have some correlatory data, but that can also be kind of funky. We can't like make any like super strong uh, judgments about this. But let's say even if it
We
did,
can't make judgments that is like this is exactly what porn does to the brain and what it does, but we absolutely have data that porn does something to the brain. We don't really know what, and we know that it makes you more impulsive. That's been tried and true. We know that it makes you that you have less, you know, your decision making skills are stunted through porn. We know that. We know that for sure.
that your everyday
And
decision
wait, and we
making.
also we also and we also know for sure that it does the same thing in the brain that doing drugs does. We know that it releases the same endorphins that you can get addicted to it the same way that you can get addicted to heroin. We know
Okay,
that.
I was just about to say I think that there's a big difference between people who have a porn addiction and people who engage with porn on a somewhat regular basis. If you're addicted to anything, you're going to have a lot of negative impacts on the brain. um, because you're going to have so much associated with porn. Neurons that fire together wire together. The more that something is thought about in relation to something else, the more neurons your brain is going to create. The more that stronger that pathway is. So the more things that you do and interact with, it's going to fire off signals to the parts of your brain that think about porn, and that's going to cause a lot of problems. But this is the same as any other addiction. People that have eating addictions, people that have drug addictions, the reason why they're so hard to break, that's one of the reasons why it's not just that nicotine's super addictive, that cigarettes are so hard to break is because people, when they wake up, it fires the neurons that because most people have a cigarette when they wake up in the morning. They have a cigarette right after they eat. They have a cigarette when they go to the bathroom. They have a cigarette right after they have sex. So all these different
Ten
activities that people
percent,
regularly do,
ten
it's going to
percent
fire
of
off.
all adults admit to having an addiction to sexual content on the internet. 10% of adults. That's 200,000 Americans.
Sure. I mean, I think we'd both rather. I mean, as far as addictions go, it's a lot less severe than other ones. I don't know of
I
anybody
don't
who's
think that
addicted to.
that's true. I
Well,
don't
you
think that that's true because I think that listen, doing heroin doesn't make you more likely to go out and rape someone.
no, but it
Being
makes you more
addicted to
likely to
porn,
rob a store.
sure, but yes, but it's still the same. It's still harm though. Like, you're not more likely to rob a store if you watch I mean, maybe you are if you watch porn because it messes with your decision-making skills, but you are more likely to be a sexual deviant if you are addicted to porn, and that predates on women,
Wait,
and I don't think that it's conducive to a good, equal society to just have men from a very young age the first time someone watches porn, you're 11, that's the average in the United States. I don't think that it's good to teach men that they have access to every woman, or any type of woman with a fucking Google search, and that you should just be able to, like, jack off to them with impunity. I think that that is bad for a brain. I think that's bad for society.
I think that there's an issue with you said that uh, porn makes you into a sexual deviant. I think that sexual
I didn't say that
deviance.
porn makes you into a sexual
Okay, what'd you
deviant. I
say?
said that when you are addicted to porn, you are more likely to fall into sexual deviance in real life when you're addicted to it. So the 10% of Americans who are addicted to porn are more likely to be sexually deviant.
Do you think that people that are
Which
sexually
also,
deviant before porn
if you
are going
listen
to
to
be more likely
porn
to watch more porn?
not
But-
necessarily, because we see the same thing with porn that we see in drugs where that, like, one your fixes, you need, like, your tolerance goes up. And we
yeah,
see that
but
with people without porn addiction also. So that's porn addiction is its own thing. We see people elevating their porn and their tastes getting more violent just in the general population of people who watch porn. That happened to me. That
um,
happens to a lot of women.
okay, so but I think that there's an important thing here. If we're saying that 10% of people, that means the overwhelming majority of people that engage with porn don't have any issues with it. They're not falling into this 10% category.
No, I don't think that that's true. I think that the people who I think that those people might not understand what porn is doing to them. I don't think that it's true that they are completely unaffected by porn. I think that would be impossible
Oh
to be
no, that's not what
completely
I'm
unaffected
saying.
by porn.
What I'm saying is that you're saying that there's 10% of people that's would you say that's 200,000 people? That
200,000 Americans.
yeah, 200,000 Americans versus the remaining
And those are people who self-report.
sure, but that's still
So you
an
can assume that
overwhelming
there's more.
minority.
But you can
Even if
assume
it
that
was
there's more people who do not self-report their porn addiction, and even so, these are people who classify it as an addiction. There are a lot of passive watchers of porn, who watch it every day and can't stop, but don't think that it's addiction.
I would say that I watch porn regularly. I definitely not every single day, but I don't think that I can't imagine that it's causing me any issues in my life that had or didn't have prior to having access to porn the way that we do
I don't
today.
think that you're aware of, but I think that also it's not on the individual level, it's on the societal level. So, it's the way that people treat women, not the way that one individual treats women. It's the way that women are now seen. It's the way that now you think that you can buy consent from a prostitute because you can dehumanize a woman enough to see her just as a sexual object. I don't think anyone with a normal psyche would ever pay for sex. But we see that more and more happening. I mean, people talk about people talk about how, like, you're a simp if you pay for someone's OnlyFans, and I think that's actually a paraphilia. I think all the people who are, buying my OnlyFans are not normal. I don't know anyone with a healthy sexual, relationship with themselves and interpersonally that has bought someone's OnlyFans. Like, I think that that is strange to do. I don't think that buying access to a woman's body is normal.
Then
I
why
don't think
is
it should be normal. I don't think it ought to be
okay?
normal.
Okay, why not?
Because the only thing if money is the only thing making you say yes, that's rape to me.
What about the people that make OnlyFans and give it away for free?
Well, that's different. That's like I said, that's not money.
Yeah, so
I
the
don't
only
know. Listen,
issue.
this is, people always think that I'm coming for human sexuality when I say this. I think that it is beautiful. I think that polyamory is beautiful. I think that having sex with your friends is beautiful. I think swinging is beautiful. I think all of that stuff, be as sexually adventurous as possible, but you need to treat your partner like a human. And porn does not do that. Porn literally capitalizes off of the fact that women are seen as more docile, submissive, sexualized. I mean, you can even see in most porn videos, it just films the fucking woman. It doesn't film the fucking man. This woman is then made to be like this caricature, this object that sex is being done to, that you can self-insert.
I
Like,
just
it's
want
not
I want to point out, I'm not
That
coming for
rots your
you
brain,
ever.
especially if you're seeing that at 11. If the first time you see that as 11, that's going to inform your reality. That's going to, again, like I said, there's an orgasm gap between men and women. Only 15% of women come during sex.
Um,
I think a lot of that is porn. I think a lot of that is because people don't realize that porn is not fucking real because we've been watching it for so fucking long. There's that, and then there's the way that women are treated in society in fucking general. There's a reason why a lot of this deepfake shit, 95% of deepfakes are of pornography. A
yeah,
big portion of those,
but they're
80%
not
of those
used for
are women.
they're not
Women.
used for jacking off though. The vast majority of them are used to hurt them.
It doesn't matter. It's still women. Women are the victims of this.
Yeah,
By
sure.
and
Oh, wait,
large.
it matters in
Why
the
is
point that
that?
it matters in the point that I'm saying is that we're not using it for the thing that you say is harmful to the brain, which is to masturbate to porn. We're making the deep fake porn of
No, I'm
women
saying
to hurt them in their
having
personal
access
lives.
to having access to pornography, like that many bodies at once, desensitizes you also to a naked body, right? So now you can embarrass someone with that, and you're like, oh, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. It's just porn. It's just porn. When
No, I think that
that's someone's naked body.
people that are doing it aren't saying it's no big deal. It's just porn. They know it's a big deal. That's why they're doing it. They're doing it to hurt somebody's reputation. They're doing it to hurt the person emotionally. They're doing something because it is a big deal.
Sure, but the reason why deepfakes are mostly porn, the reason why deepfakes are mostly uh with women victims is because we live in a pornified society where we objectify women. And you can say, and every time I have this conversation, it always comes down to like a naturalist view of like sex, where it's like men just are more horny, and there is literally no evidence to suggest that that is true. So why are women more often the victims of this?
Because because it works when we try. If you try to hurt a woman sexually, it's effective. That's the reason why.
Sh- sure, uh, but
I just think it's really that simple. If it wasn't effective at hurting them, people would use something else because people, unfortunately, have a desire to try
people
to
do
hurt.
use other things.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
But I think
But
that
also, why do you think it's so appropriate for men to use degradation to hurt women? Like, why do you think
oh,
that
I don't
that's the
think so.
first
I
thing
don't
that
think it's
goes?
okay.
Okay, no,
I don't think
it's
it's
not
okay to hurt
okay, but
people
of course, but why do you think that that's the first place that men go to?
because it's extremely effective.
Okay, great. But it's because it's like this chicken or the egg cycle of like degrading women in this like pornified way, in a way that women do not do to men. In fact, only recently have we even started like, oh, you have a small dick in the last like what, 15 years? That's been like our
No, that's
go-to,
been my
like you
whole
have a
life.
small
I've
dick.
heard that. I've heard that my entire life.
Okay, great. But no one's making like deep fakes of you and sending them off. And that's like the first thing you do. The fappening that happened, the whole fucking, embarrassing like every woman possible who is a celebrity. It's like men hate women and see them as objects because of porn. Because of porn, and I don't think anything else. I think it's because of the patriarchy and the way that the patriarchy and men have sexualized our bodies and made us submissive and docile and
This isn't a new
uh
thing. The Battle of Troy was fought because a dude seen a woman's titty and was like, "I'm gonna go to war for that titty. I like that titty
sure.
so much. I'm
I
willing to
just
kill
Yeah, so
people for it."
this is where it comes down to again is like the naturalist view that like men are just like hornier, and it's
No,
just not true.
it's not that men are hornier. I'm
They don't
saying that
hyperfixate on women any more than women hyperfixate on men's attributes either.
yeah, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that a woman theoretically could have done, but they didn't have the power to do things like that. Throughout history, men have wielded the power, and so that's why Helen of Troy, and it wasn't the
They
reverse. Is
keep the power. This is how you keep the power, is sexualizing women. You keep the power by objectifying and sexualizing women, making them look meek and, taking away their own sexuality and projecting your own fantasies onto them. This is literally
wait, we keep
how
the power
this has
through
happened. This is
legislation
who
and like beating the shit out of them when they try to stop us from doing that historically. That's how it happens. They're just literally overpowered throughout history, and that's why they have been sort of forced into like a patriarchal system.
well, I think that That's also true, but I think that that also relies on, like, women being submissive, docile, and weaker, which I think we've made that sexual, right?
Correct.
Like,
So
I
you
think
have
that
a submissive and more docile sex, and the other sex is aggressive and stronger and more
yeah,
dominant.
this is
Yeah,
exactly where
it's
I
not
thought we'd go.
right. It's not. I'm not saying that it's morally right, but this is how it happens, and this happens with or without porn. Uh,
Great, but I also think, fuck nature, be better, right?
sure, I agree. But I think that
So so
part
this is
of
where we get in every conversation I have with this, which is like, why the fuck do we need porn? Why don't you just go outside and have sex with someone?
wait, if we get rid of porn to help fix this issue, then we're not being better. We're just taking away tools. If we want people to be better, they need to be better
No, listen,
despite porn.
I don't think that we should legislate not having porn. Okay, let me make that clear. I'm talking strictly philosophy.
Me too.
I'm saying in a world where picture a world where there is no shaming women for not being pure, right? So there's no sexual repression of women.
Okay.
Women are liberated. There is no porn. Um, why would you have to hide your sexuality if that existed? Like, what would you lose?
I don't think that people have to hide their sexuality now. I would say that right now we have the most porn in the world. Women have the most sexual liberty, and people are the most accepting and
You think women have more sexual liberty
celebrating.
than men?
I think that no, I didn't say that. I don't know who has more sexual liberty. I'm just saying that they have more than they ever have before. There's more porn than there's ever been before. Women's sexuality is celebrated more than ever before. So
And
I
that's
just
great. But now you're asking me to be happy like with just that. Like,
no,
look, it's
I'm
better
not.
than
Wait.
before.
No, I'm not trying to get you or anything.
No, I know. I don't think that you're trying to get me, but that's what it comes
No,
off as
no.
is
What
like,
I'm saying is that
look,
I
it's
have a
better than
hard
it
time
was.
correlating pornography to being this thing that's keeping that keeps doing all these things to women in the
Okay, like I said,
ideological space of sex. But when we have the most porn in history, women have the most positive publicly. They can be as sexual as they want, and it's celebrated. There's
that's
people
not
backing
even
them
true.
up
That's not even
more
true.
than
I
ever
think
before. When was the time
yeah,
where women could be more openly sexual?
more than ever before, but you were like stoned to death, like fucking like, you're still I mean, still, not even in America, no, but I in the 50s, literally not even fucking, in the 50s and 60s, you couldn't do any of that shit. So, like, yes, we've moved a little bit, and that's great. But I would like to be as sexually liberated as men as soon as possible, ASAP,
I
tomorrow.
agree. I'm just saying that like we've seen a
But
huge in spike in porn.
you haven't engaged in my hypothetical. What happens if there is no shame culture around women's purity and no porn? What are you getting from porn in that scenario?
The ability to engage with sexual fantasies that you don't. I mean, maybe you don't want to approach somebody. Maybe some sexual fantasies are fun just because they're fantasies and you don't actually want to enact them on somebody.
Sure, but why do you need vast internet porn to do that? Why can't you fantasize about it in your brain? The imagination is very powerful.
You can, but
Yeah, you can.
why should I be restricted to only that?
Because porn hurts people.
Some porn hurts some people. All porn
No,
does not hurt all
no,
people.
porn existing hurts people. Yes.
How does porn's existence hurt people?
I mean, we could go on and on and on. Like the way that porn's existence hurts people now is we can talk bigger industry, like, people who's being paid, who are the actors, are they being paid for their work appropriately? There's that part. There's also the fact that now your intellectual property, there's a video of you doing this thing that anyone can do with. And a lot of these women who are doing porn are in their sexual prime, which is very young, which is when your brain is like not very developed. So when you're 50, you're like, fuck, what did I do? And I think that most porn stars do that. I think that the amount of porn stars that have come out and been like, I wish I hadn't have done that, or like, I was mistreated, or I wish I wouldn't have done that scene, or I wish that I could just like live, better. Like, I don't know. I
If
think
you
that there's
miss
a case for that.
if you take out the word porn and you put any other life experience in there that's a decision that somebody's made, I think about things in my past all the time. Like, shit, I wish I wouldn't have done that. I wish I wouldn't have done this.
Sure, but you're forgetting that we're living in a society that shames women for their sexuality. For their sexuality, but also them just being sexual at all. Even men will sexualize you and then punish you for their sexualization of you in the society that we're in now.
Yeah, I don't agree with that, but I think that porn has helped us be more accepting of women's sexuality.
No, porn has helped not at all. Porn has no, the absolute opposite. I think that men has a it has made men more comfortable to project their own sexuality onto women. Again, there is an orgasm gap. Women are not coming during intercourse. They're not coming. They're not living sexually fulfilled lives in their relationship. They're not having fun during sex.
I think that means that they need to be talking to their partners and figuring out how to make their sexual experiences beneficial for both of them. Not
Sure,
to
but
blame
women don't
porn.
know. Yes, but women don't know either because they live until they're in their fucking 30s with a male
Thank you for the
projection of
follow.
fantasy on them forgetting their own sexuality. I had sex with 30 people before I ever orgasmed myself. I was like, "What the fuck?" It took me this year to learn what the fuck I even liked, and that's because I've really hyper fixated on it. Some women will be like, I mean, you hear all the time, like, women coming out at fucking 30 and being like, "I was actually a lesbian this whole time." Like, women are not given the space to, even really explore that because we're just literally constantly being projected this, like, male fantasy onto us.
Do you, do you think that there's no correlation between the fact that the countries that have super strict laws about pornography also have the least sexual liberation for women?
Well, this is why I also in this is what also why in my hypothetical I talked about how women's sexuality repression didn't exist in this hypothetical because we see that in places like the Middle East where you can't really watch a lot of porn
Hmm.
and women are still shamed for their sexuality, which is why I beg the question, if that didn't exist, if there was no repression of women's sexuality and no porn, what would happen?
I don't think we could really know, but what I'm trying to
Well, go
demonstrate when
there
I
with
ask
me.
that,
Well, go there with me. What do you think would happen?
I have no idea. Like
Well, you
I
can't
mean,
even theorize?
the question's so open. Can you ask me like, how would this thing go in this world, or something like that?
Yeah, I don't want you to give me a fucking play-by-play to every individual person, but
No, no, I'm not.
generally, I think that we can make some sweeps. I think that I can infer that, women I could infer that people would be having more sex in general, right? People would just be having more sex because if you can't stay home and jack off, you're gonna go somewhere else for it. People would be having more sex, there'd be less incels. Women would feel there'd be less rape because women would, Mr. Girl makes this argument all the time where he's like, we need to teach women how to say yes. And I think we do need to teach women how to say yes. Because we literally a lot of what hurts when women are raped is because you feel used up, like you're dirty, like sex has somehow changed you in some way, when obviously it hasn't, right?
Yeah, I
So I
think that
think
could
that
happen if we kept porn and just got rid of the societal ideas about women's sexuality that are negative.
no,
Like that's
because
all you
then
have
you
to
are
do.
still no, because then you're still projecting this idea of male fantasy and you're capitalizing. Now it becomes a business. Now sex becomes a business. Sex should not be a business. Sex is natural. We've
It
taken humans have taken the most natural, spiritual, grounding experience to human nature and made money off of it. And I think that that's disgusting. I don't think
Wait,
that
no.
we should do that with anything else.
Porn is the basis
We don't sell
for
organs.
business. Or sorry,
We
not
don't
porn.
sell organs.
Sex is the basis for business. It's called the world's oldest profession for a reason.
Yeah, and that's bad. It's the
I,
world's oldest profession because you were literally seen as chattel, Drazi. You were seen as chattel. You could literally go into a brothel and you were owned by someone, and someone could come in regardless of whether or not you wanted to have sex with them and fuck you. That's not good. That's not good.
I think that it can be bad, and that there's a lot of things that go with it that carry certain dangers. But it's the things when you add other things onto something that doesn't make the thing itself inherently bad. Like,
No, I don't.
wait,
I
so for
understand.
instance, I've been a sex worker before. I have been paid for sex. I've had pictures of myself, of my nudes, altered and doctored and spread around without my consent. I've been a part of the things that you are talking about.
The problem is that you are a man. So when we live in a world where there is a stronger, bigger sex and we are subjugated as women, and then you capitalize our sexuality, that is harmful. That's like slavery.
Wait, are you saying it wasn't harmful when it happened to me?
Not
Because
as
I'm a guy?
harmful. No, because there's not an institution. That's like asking a white person, like, it's the difference between black on white racism and white on black racism. There's no institution. There's no societal backing for you, to really feel the weight of being a sex worker in the same way that a woman does.
Yeah, you're right. There's no societal backing for me to say, hey, this was a bad experience for me either. People say, shut the
Sure,
fuck up. You had sex. Who gives a fuck? Or, oh, I'm so sorry. Somebody took your picture. Nobody gives a fuck at all. There are
nobody
staunch
really gives a fuck
differences
about women
between these.
either.
There are staunch differences between these things, but they both carry their own unique individual
Sure, I don't think that
pains.
I'm saying that you didn't experience a little trauma within yourself. I
I'm not
just
saying
think
whether
that
I did
there's
or
no.
didn't. But the point that I was getting at is what you just expressed. There's an immense dismissiveness when when it happens to a man because of these other things. But to the individual, I don't think that there is a world of difference. It's not like all of society knows if you've made porn. It's not like all of society knows if you're a sex worker. It's going to be, we should be caring about it based on how the individual experiences it. If it's a positive experience, then we say, okay, that was fine. It's good. If it was a negative experience, we say, this is bad. It should be, these things that made it bad should be condemned.
Well, I think one of the reasons why it's worse for women is because society has pumped us full of this is your worth. This is what you're worth. Your purity is everything. You don't have sex until marriage, don't have sex with, so many people, stay young forever, stay hot forever. And so we can just look at you in a way that like men are not. So it becomes like the thing that we hang on to desperately while we're aging. And then also it's like our undoing when it's done to us without, whatever. So I think there are obviously differences. To make the argument that there are no differences between men and women doing sex work, I think is a little silly. Um,
I didn't say that there was no differences. I said that there was staunch differences. That was my exact wording. But that they both carry different consequences and different internal experiences that are bad for men and women. Just like I said, if you're a man, any problems you have with it is going to be completely dismissed. If you're a woman, they're not going to be dismissed if you talk about it. But there are going to be some other people that are going to say really terrible things to you. They're going to say that you deserved it or make you feel extra bad because you're a woman and they don't give a shit about you. They're different, sure, but I think that on the individual level, there's not going to be like this is just worse because you're a man or this is just worse because you're a woman. Even if a man is sexually assaulted by a woman, nobody gives a fuck. I do think
because
that it's a much bigger
wait, but
problem
that's also
that men
sure, but
sexually
that's
assault
also
women.
well, that's also different. I think that nothing is like God. I wish that everyone could read every feminist author ever.
Well, send me a couple links and I'll download them on Audible, and I will genuinely listen to them.
Okay, awesome. I think Andrea Dorkin talks a lot about rape when it comes to a lot of feminists don't think that men can even be raped because they think that rape is something that is like like entering you, right? Like a penis is what makes a rape, and not like a woman cannot rape someone with her penis. Um,
Well,
but I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but I think it's interesting. Because there obviously is not only a difference in how you're treated after you're raped as a man and a woman, but there is a different thing happening when you are raped as a man than you are as a woman, where someone's putting their like meat inside of you, which women don't often do when they rape someone. But listen, do I want to get rid of porn in my utopian pipe dream? Yes. I believe in a world where porn doesn't exist, where we can all have sex with each other without shame and, do all the fantasies that we want, role play with each other, do everything we want, be really, just sexually adventurous and deviant with each other. And I don't think we're getting anything out of porn. Porn exists because of women's sexual repression. like,
Um,
to me.
okay, so when you say that we're not getting anything out of porn, I wholly disagree. Uh, because like my wife and I can watch porn together and enjoy it together, and then have that lead to a fulfilling sexual experience.
Sure, but you could also watch people have sex in front of you.
Sure. However,
And no one makes money that way. You can't capitalize off of, like, a naturalistic behavior. I think that
uh,
there are some this is where it comes to where, like, I think that there are some things that should be sacred that should not be for profit.
I don't think that
And I
anything is sacred. I don't think.
Yeah, so that's I think that that's the difference in our philosophy, right? And it'll always come down to that is that and I don't think that either of us are right or wrong, right? We're all trying to make sense of the world around us.
Hmm.
But in my perfect world, I would like it if you could not commodify or capitalize or make money off of something that is natural. The same way that we don't, that we don't sell organs. Like we don't sell pieces of our body. And we shouldn't. We ought to not.
Um, I would I would argue that a lot of things that we sell are natural. Uh, like maybe should we should be able to sell food, right? That grows
No,
out of the
I
ground.
see. This is where my ideology gets a little. I don't know. I think I probably am like a naturalist Marxist. Maybe that makes me dumb. That also is my utopian pipe dream, right? I'm in reality. There are two parts of me. There's
Wait, you're a
one that's in
naturalist and
reality.
transhumanist at the same time?
Yes. So there's part of me that is in reality, right? There's part of me that understands the way that capitalism works. There's a way that, I benefit off of the mixed market economy that we have in capitalism, obviously. I make quite a bit of money doing what I don't think I should be doing, right? Like there's a realistic part of me that is like, you know, very much in it and understands the world around me and is profiting off of it. And then there's a part of me that probably is more spiritual that believes that the world ought to be a different way and I kind of go there in like dream world where we should there are people who are starving. Why are they starving? Because they're poor. Why do we make it, why do we I think that it's a human right to eat, sleep, drink, and have housing. And some people don't agree with me, but yeah, I understand that civilization has
Well,
made it to be that way. But
it gets a little bit more complicated when I talk about like food being sold, because you have to compensate people for doing all the work that goes into food production and all that. So I was just curious what you thought.
dude, in my
I
pipe
understand
dream,
the idea that,
we are hunting and gathering.
oh well, in my fantasy world, nobody is hunting because I'm vegan,
Yeah.
and
So I think it's yeah.
I don't think that
I
we should when you talk about not needing something, that's part that resonates with me. Like you don't need to torture and kill animals in order to eat. So, uh, like it's
well, you
when you
don't
say
need
we
to
don't,
torture them, definitely. Well, I also think that I mean, you don't
uh,
need to hunt. You can hunt in my perfect reality, but you can also like pick berries and, have
yeah,
mushrooms for
yeah,
protein and
I'm all
nuts
about
and
the
stuff.
gathering, not about the hunting. But that's why I
Yeah.
think it's I guess I just touched on that because a big argument that you made during the panel was that we don't need deep fake porn.
Yeah.
Um, And I could take that a step further and say we don't need porn. We don't need to masturbate. We don't need to have sex. None of these things will kill you.
Well,
But
no. No, 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 no. We do need to do those things. Hold on. That is like very that is actually
then I don't know what
very
you mean by
good for
need.
like when we have all of these other I brought this up also in the panel is that you have to weigh the pros and cons.
Hmm.
So there are so many pros to having sex and very few cons. There are a lot of cons to deep fake porn and very few pros.
Well, if we didn't have sex, all the thing, if nobody was allowed to have sex anymore ever, that means there's no rape, there's no objectification of women because you
Well, no,
can't have
because we
sex with
still
them.
have we still have what do you mean? We're supposed to have sex. That's like what humans are wired to do. Humans are not wired to masturbate to deep fake porn.
Okay, so this is what I mean by need. I don't know what you mean by need. I think
No, I just broke it down for you is that it's less need and more the pros and cons of each behavior. So the
okay.
pros for deepfake porn, pro, you get a nut. Cons, I mean, they're immeasurable. Like there's so fucking many. With sex, if we as humans don't have sex, we'll fucking implode. We'll go crazy. We're biologically wired to have sex with each other.
I mean, there's people
And
that go their whole life without having sex that don't do anything crazy.
uh, I I don't I don't know if that. Okay, I don't know if that's like an argument to
Well,
even. I
well,
think
you
that the
just said
general
that they'll
population.
implode.
Sure, but that
I
was
think we should
hyperbolic,
have
and I.
sex.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
pro
supposed to have
sex.
sex.
I'm pro
That's the way of the
sexual
world.
freedom. I think that
Every
you
animal,
should be
every
able
plant.
to explore your sexuality to the fullest extent. Um, so the problem that I have with the whole deep fake thing is that pretty much what Portland said. If I can imagine it or I can draw it, I don't understand why I can't produce it on my computer. Do you think I shouldn't be able to draw it?
No, you can draw it.
Okay. This is a hypothetical that somebody
This is what I
almost
talked about also, is
created.
the hyperrealism.
Sure. So yeah, this is something that I sent to Portland to say, and I think it kind of got like there was like a comparable thing. So let's say somebody has an identical twin. A woman has an identical twin sister. She makes a porno and she has it released, but she never puts her name in the credits. So nobody knows if it's her or if it's her sister. They're both public figures. Nobody knows which one of them it is. Is this bad?
What do you mean by
This
bad?
porn is
It's
wholly real. Well, because you're saying deepfake is bad, right?
no, I'm
This
I'm
is
saying
this is
deep.
like an
I'm not saying that like one deep. I'm not saying one deep fake is like the problem. Obviously, there's like the fact that women's feelings, right? Like that would be really embarrassing. But I think that deep faking as a whole is like really bad for society. The way that we are able to do this. I think that this is pushing us into like an extremely like technocratic society in which like we can't trust anything. We can't trust anything. You can make porn in any sort of porn that you want. I think keeps you from having sex in real life. It keeps you inside of your house on your computer. I think that that is bad for the brain. I think that that's bad for society.
well,
Like
I'm in my
it's
house all
not
the
so much
time on my
is
computer
it
and I have
ethical for
sex.
you. It's not sure, but I think as as time goes on, we will see, like we have seen, that there are trends that men are not having sex because they're staying home. Um, so I don't know if like you as a person holds that much weight when we are seeing like literal trends around the world that this is happening, that men are having very little sex, and what that's doing to their brain. Um, so uh there's that. It's not that I listen,
Well, if they
on a
don't want to have
small
sex, I don't
scale.
want them to.
Great. On a small scale, deep fakes, if they were only happening to one person, is like not as big of a deal as what they mean for society and what they're going to do to society, right? Like there's the political ones that now we can't trust anything. What I think this is going to lead to is like an uprising. Like I think that we are going to get slowly and slowly, maybe actually fastly, very unsatisfied with our government and technology, see that we can trust nothing, not know what to do, and I think there's going to be like a rebellion of people who are just living in the woods, like off grid. I think that that's gonna be like the next big craze in the next 15 years, or we're just gonna have like off gridders.
No, we just had that. That was like the whole QAnon thing, right? Like
Yeah,
they
but
just
it's
didn't have
gonna
the
get
balls
bigger
to
because
actually
now it's
go.
but now it's gonna be bigger because it's gonna be on the left. It's gonna be on the right, it's gonna be on the left, it's gonna be everyone. And it's just gonna keep growing and keep growing because we can't trust anyone. It is already happening, but it's gonna happen at a bigger scale because deepfakes are so contained now, it feels like. And they're just not, unless we legislate, they're just not going to be.
So if we just had the technology to determine what is or isn't a deep fake, then like I think all we really need to do then is focus AI into being able to determine whether something is a deep fake or a real thing, and we're right back to trusting again. We can take proactive approaches to these issues that can arise from it to combat it, because that's how this technology works. For these issues that it creates, we can also rely on AI. We're
Well,
essentially at the
that's
point to the AI has to solve the problems of AI, because
so this
we
is
need
what
something
so
that moves
this is what
just
I
as
mean.
fast.
So yeah, so we need something that moves just as fast as it is right now.
Yep.
And I do not think that we have touched the ceiling on how realistic and believable deepfakes can be.
Sure.
And when there's something like rape, where you cannot prove whether or not it's real, and nobody can because it's such advanced technology,
Well, that's why
what
I'm
the fuck
saying
are
that
we gonna do then?
we need to get people to care now to create the AI technologies that are going to determine whether these things are real or not.
But it's always going to be, we're always going to have the disadvantage trying to keep up with the deepfakes.
No, we don't if we train AI to do it. Machine learning moves super, super fast. We can, if we, so
yeah, and then this is the thing, is that we just become a more technocratic society, and I don't think that that's good. I think the more technocratic we get, the less humanist we get.
but that's how we get to the transhumanism that you want. And I'm right there with you.
Well, no, I didn't say that that's what I wanted. I said that that's what eventually we'll do.
Oh, you said that you were a transhumanist at the beginning of this. I was just going
yeah,
off
because
of
I
that.
believe that it's going to happen. And
And
I
you
also
don't want it to happen?
I don't know if I want it to happen, right? I think that that's the inner turmoil, that I don't know if I want it to happen, because I think that part of why life is so great is because we die. Then the other part is me being so narcissistic that I don't think that I should.
Well, I guess that when I take these things into consideration, I have to ask myself, what do I know will happen? I know that something's going to happen. So then how do we approach this in a way that actually deals with the things that are going to happen? When we say that we just want there to not be deepfake porn, and not focus on creating a technology that's going to protect people from having crime simulated of them, like rape or like violence, things like that, then what we're going to do is we're going to stand by, hoping and wishing while the technology advances instead of doing something to be able to keep it in check. We have to focus on what is correct to do and worry about our emotions after we do that, because something is coming, something is moving at us with full force, and we have to be pragmatic here. Because talking about it in terms of, well, I don't like this, we need
Oh, wait,
legislation
to
against
get
it.
ahead. So this is what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Drowsy, to get ahead of all these things so we don't have to keep making more AI, keep doing all these things, let's just fucking can it. Let's just say don't do the shit anymore. We can still keep up with the AI shit to get rid of all of it, right? But why do we need it at all? What are the pros and cons?
I
Why do we
think
need
that
it
we
at
can't
all?
stop
Why do
it.
we allow it at all? We can stop it in the
Why do
same
we
way that
need it? We don't do
yes, we
things.
can try to curb it.
We don't do things just because we need them. I'd say, why do we need it? We need it because we have, humans
Well,
have a manifest
we have to
destiny.
need it for it to have so many cons. We have to need it. We can't just want it.
Yeah, I
We
would
have
say
to
that
need
it's
it.
manifest destiny. I think it's something we can't not do. The same reason why if there's a tall mountain, we're going to climb it. There is a drive in humans to do things that, take things to the next level, to make things more efficient, to be better, stronger, faster in every category that we
Yeah,
can.
but
We're
what
always
the
going to move
fuck does
towards that.
deepfake have to do with that?
It's it's a digital frontier that is just starting to be tapped, and people, I think that people have to figure
Okay,
out
so do
how
you
they can
think we
make it
make
better and better and
robots with a
better.
consciousness?
Yeah, we're definitely going to do that.
You think we should?
I think we have to.
No! We don't! See, you're advocating, you're like, progress for the sake of progress. What if it is bad?
Uh,
What if it is bad?
okay,
We
so
don't
look,
do it.
there are, but that's never happened. We have never stymied
Yes.
progress for the sake of progress because
And
we
we
have
have
to do
never, we
it.
are in the technological era right now. We will see in the next 20 years shit that we'll be the Jetsons in the next fucking 10 years. Shit will be popping off like we couldn't have ever fucking imagined, and it'll be going so fucking fast, and we'll just be progressing for the sake of progressing.
Yeah, we
We'll not
always
be
do.
conserving any human life. And I don't know if you've seen, there's a Black Mirror episode. Or no, it's Love, Death, Robots. Have you
I
seen that?
love Death and Robots. Yeah.
There's one of those, it's season 2, I believe, where the person
Season
opens up their ice box and it's a civilization.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. It was originally Twilight Zone and an episode of 50. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
We've
yeah,
seen
yeah.
this before. Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is hilarious, and I think about that all the time, especially when we're thinking about, like, transhumanism and where we're gonna be, because you could see that it becomes like Mesopotamia to, like, the Jetsons, like, transhumanism, and then it just fucking nuclear war happens, and everything is zilch, and then you just see, like, at the end, like, a little green thing happening again, and then it just I don't know. I'm trying to keep society going and people happy for as long as possible. And I just think that progress for the sake of progress puts us into so many fucking scenarios that we just don't have to fucking be in. We could just keep it going and keep people happy for as long as possible.
I think that we actually can't though. I don't think
I
I
think
do
we
not
should. I
Um,
think we should. We can try.
I think to stymie that spirit is also going to stop all the advance. Like, you can't stop that any more than you can stop us from finding cures for diseases. You can't stop this kind of thing any more than you can stop people from making more fuel efficient cars, from trying to solve global warming. These are things that people do because they have the drive to do it. It's not because they feel this great
We should
calling
just
to save
let
the world.
Okay, men have the drive to rape. Should we allow it?
Uh, this is something that has been shown to be able to be curbed. I'm saying that I don't think that
And
the
there are other
manifest
things that
destiny can be curbed.
well, I think a lot of people would say that the manifest destiny of of the sexes is for one to remain dominant over the other, and I think that we're trying to get past that, right?
Well, that would have to be the case that women are also going to inherently participate in allowing themselves to be dominated as well. If that was the case, if that was like manifest destiny, then we wouldn't be having a conversation about it because we'd all just be doing it automatically. We wouldn't need like a patriarchal system to like push this idea onto us. Manifest destiny is something that's like inherent with all people. When you're a baby, you go exploring, not because you have to be, or not because somebody's making you do it. It's just there's just a drive in people to always do more, see more, be more, do better, create better. This is how we operate.
There's also the drive in people to be racist and tribalistic. Should we try to curb it?
I don't think that's a drive. I think that's a learned behavior.
No. That is so silly. That is so silly.
It's
From the
silly.
beginning of time. From the beginning of time, we know. From the beginning of time, we know that humans and animals are tribalistic. We know that that is true. Should we curb it? Yes. Men want to rape women because they're bigger and stronger and they have something that they want. We should probably try to
Uh,
curb that.
I don't think that all men want that.
I don't think that all men want that either, but I'm saying that the men that don't want that know it's because it hurts people, right? I think that if you didn't think that it would hurt a woman to rape her, that almost 100% of men would be doing it. Just like
Um,
100% of men are having sex. Unless you have some greater, like, Jesus who tells you that sex is bad and that you shouldn't do that. But I think if we lived in a society where you could rape women and where they didn't feel bad if you did, then most men would be doing it.
uh,
I don't think
yeah,
that's a bad thing.
you just eliminated all the harm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would you
So
not do
I
something that produces good results for you if nobody's harmed? Sure.
Sure. So the reason why people don't do that is because it makes people feel bad. But I think that so we've taken a naturalistic, men big, strong, want vagina, will rape you, and we've been like, yeah, you can't do that, bud.
Okay, so when we curb these things that we're naturally inclined to do, what we do is we weigh the kind of harm that we see versus the kind of we take the drive into account. We take we take all the, we just like you said, we take the pros and the cons of it. One thing that we haven't talked about when it comes to deepfake porn is when I was watching the panel yesterday, I realized that there's a great potential to reduce harm that everybody cares about. If the internet was flooded with uh, deep fake CP where no kids were harmed, we could de-incentivize people from ever producing it again for monetary gain, and this would destroy the profit incentive for people to create this. And I can't think of any way to combat it in such an effective. It's effective in cost, it's effective in resources, and it's effective in reducing harm better than any way that we ever have done before.
Who's to say?
Economics.
Yeah.
If I can produce something by just clicking some buttons and I don't have to continually expend resources, the people who are making that stuff because it puts money in their pocket, they're not going to be able to sell it anymore. If you flood the market with all this, that
Sure.
is, and you can have it done by people using pictures of who are producing it using pictures of themselves when they were kids. You can have volunteers. I guarantee you, if this argument was widespread and people understood, people would volunteer their own childhood pictures to help stop children from being hurt. So there are some really good things that can come out of this. There's also really good things that can come out of this in that if we wanted to develop therapies around it where people overcome their trauma, you can have yourself deep faked in a scenario where you're in the same situation but you make the better choice or whatever, or you make the wrong choice and you can try to like get over it. There's a lot of things that we can do with this technology that can lead to really good results for people that just wouldn't exist otherwise. There are some really bad things that come of it, but some of the things that we can do that are good are like insanely good. They're like fantasy and levels of good that just we don't really have any other way to do, and we haven't really considered them because this is so new. So right now, I think like most industries, when they start happening and booming, the porn industry is right there, and it's going to get its hands on it, and they're going to be the frontiers of most technologies.
I
That's
think
why every tech convention, the porn industries are like, how can we use this to make people come better? That's like their
sure.
because that's their business. But there's some really good stuff we can do with this too.
Yeah, I think I mean I agree with everything that you're saying also. Again, there's like two parts of me and I feel very contrarian when I talk about things like this because I do have like two sides of me. I could really argue both points and it's not just because I want to and I want to get a little, I want to
Yeah.
just win a debate. It's because I really think that exploring all facets of this conversation is really interesting. I totally believe in the world that we live today. You're right. Like it but I would like to strive to a better world, my utopian pipe dream. So,
Mhm.
I'm constantly fighting with that part of myself. But yeah, I think even, yesterday we on the panel we talked about whether or not like you can have AI CP, right? I
Yeah.
think listen, if it keeps people from offending, go for it, right?
Well, not just
Like
keeps people from offending, it stops people from producing actual CP,
sure.
which hurts kids. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
because they
absolutely.
can't make
And
money
in
off of it.
that reality, I'm like, fuck, that seems super helpful, right? But, there's just also I don't know. It's like this constant there's two sides. There's two parts of it. I
Yeah,
believe that it can be great and also I'm really scared of it. So,
yeah, and this is when I brought it up yesterday. I said when it comes to protecting kids, we have to use our brains and not our hearts. We can figure out how we feel about it after we make the correct decision for them. Because a lot of these things, I seen a Chud Logic streamer. He was watching a video about like hentai that depicted younger kids, and in the documentary they said like this is leading to a decrease in assault as we see it amongst minors. And he's like, yeah, I'm still not for it. And whenever I hear somebody say something like that, it freaks me out because you're saying that your feelings matter more than the safety of children.
totally.
Um, this is where I have the problem. I understand the drive and desire to have a world exactly as you want it. And when people tell me about their concerns about things that I don't agree with, I empathize with them. I understand where they're coming from as long as they're coherent. Uh, and I understand why you would want that, but I have to consider like what is going to be the correct outcome. And I think that dismissing or trying to legislate against technology, which we don't fully understand all the benefits that can be produced from it. Because these are just things I came up with last night, rewatching the panel when I went over it on stream. If somebody like me can come up with these really good ideas and where we could use this for tremendous benefit for all of society, imagine what really smart people whose jobs it is to just be smart can do with these things as well. It will
Yeah.
take us creating technology to move alongside of it so that hopefully that if somebody does take a porn actress's body and use it and they're distributing it, let's at least get her the fucking money that it's making off of it, like people do with YouTube copyrights. And if somebody's face is on
Yeah.
there and they don't want it on there, uh, if they have any kind of rights to their images legally, that it gives them space to do that. We need to look at this thing as a real thing, and we need to
Totally.
work on ways to reduce the bad stuff and keep the good stuff. But I think
Yeah.
that the idea that somebody's creating it in their house for them, especially like people have fantasies that are like impossible to pull off with real people. Uh, if they can have that, then
Vor.
did you say gore?
I said vor.
Oh, um, or like I don't know, maybe some dude wants to get fucked by a guy that has tentacles for arms, and he can put
Sure.
himself in that deep fake, and he's like, "This is the best thing ever." Oh my god, tears
Sure.
running
That
down his face
also
with joy. You know,
go to therapy. Just kidding.
I do go to therapy, but you're talking about the guy who wants
But
the
yeah,
tentacle
that
arms, right?
guy. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
guy.
yeah. Uh,
But yeah, no, I get it, and I agree with everything you said, and I really agreed with everything that Tuna Chip said yesterday. I think my goal is just to have more interesting conversations where we go to places that, maybe maybe you don't know why you think the way that you do, or maybe you haven't, talked about all the options or whatever. And I think that that's really interesting. I think that it's more interesting to have a conversation that's like a big conversation about all of it instead of like I'm right and you're wrong, right? I really try to have those conversations. But yeah, I agree with everything that you're saying for the most part. There's a part of me that doesn't, who wants better for the world, but I know the reality and that we live in, and you know,
Uh, sure. Your difference, your mine and your difference of opinion about like what our ideal worlds are. These are fully emotional things.
yeah, totally.
These are things based on our own moral system, and I would say that for you, you have to strive towards the thing that you think is correct, and I have to strive for the thing that I think is correct. But when we talk about like what should actually happen within the world that we live in, this is where we get to talk about what is going to be the correct outcome here. And
Yeah,
I think in that respect, that's where you and I are
and that's
aligned
why I
pretty
trust
well.
democracy. I
Uh,
hope that there are enough people who, can make the right decision
well,
uh,
what's
to
that
vote for
thing?
it.
I think that democracy is a terrible system. It's just the best one that we have so far.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
trust other people to know more about it than I do, or to, maybe be less emotional about it. But that doesn't mean that I'm not allowed to be emotional about what I think. Um,
Uh, I agree. I don't think that
but
you
yeah,
should be getting dismissed just because your emotion or your argument is emotional. Um, I think that is perfectly valid. I think that our emotions are a really good way to guide us to the logical, correct outcomes.
yeah,
We just need to figure out where they're starting to deviate. Because if I didn't get like
yeah,
super pissed off at that panel, I wouldn't have had a lot of my arguments that I had during watching it, which I think were really solid, good ones. But
totally. I think
the
I think Smith brought up a really good point also on the on the stream, is like, why do we care so much? And nobody would engage with it, which is what I thought was so interesting. Like there were just so many people who couldn't even go there. Like I think maybe intellectually or like creatively just couldn't even imagine a world in which women were not shamed for their sexuality and that it wasn't a big deal. Like I was like,
oh
okay,
yeah.
this hypothetical is really interesting. Like what if naked bodies were just like naked bodies? Then deepfake porn would kind of be okay. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I don't know. I thought it was interesting, but no one wanted to fucking go there. It was like virtue signal fucking central. It was strange. Um,
Parallax
but
wanted to remind me that he also asked this when he got to get in. Yeah, I think that there's something that we all kind of acknowledge. A thing that we hear a lot is that when people talk about their kids moving out, say, "I can't wait to walk around my house naked again."
yeah,
I think that we all very much be able to our value being able to walk around naked, preferably with our partner. Before my kid lived with me, my wife and I walked around our house exclusively naked if there was nobody over.
there are
Um,
nudist colonies. It's happening
yeah.
right now.
um, I do not understand. Truly, don't understand. Say maybe save for having clothes gives you an extra barrier of protection from like assault.
Hmm.
Other than that, I don't really understand why
Only
everybody wants their
barely.
body. Well, yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Like it's something.
yeah.
Uh, it's just we live in a society that has to have two different bathrooms because we are terrified of sexual assault at every turn, at every corner. I'm not saying that this is a completely unjustified idea at all. I'm just saying like this that is the reality of that. But I think that it is weird that we are weird about our bodies. I think that this is one of those things that is just sort of tradition for the sake of tradition. It's a
Yeah.
cultural idea that we just keep on passing down without ever stopping to ask, why is this important? Why does this matter?
Yeah.
Um, he says, why do we care? He honed in on
Because
the
it really
realism
is. If we
thing.
stopped caring about shit like that, you couldn't use it as fuel anymore. Um, but I just don't believe that that world's gonna ever exist because I believe that men are evil ontologically and they will always shame us and control our sexualities. Just kidding. I don't actually think that, but I don't know. I hope that we can get to a place where, where things like that don't matter as much.
Uh,
Not they were they were saying on the panel, Doobie was like, "So just legalize rape?" And I was like, I thought that was a silly place to go with what Smith was saying, but it was like, I don't
yeah,
know. Would rape
is.
exist if women like could just fuck with them like and not feel bad about who they were fucking?
Yeah, probably.
It would
Like,
still
what if they
exist a
don't feel
little
like
bit,
having
but
sex?
well, totally, it would still exist a little bit. But I'm saying like, I think that most
There's a
I
further
think
extension to that conversation too. But I just want to say that there's other reasons why it could still happen. But yeah, please go on. I don't want to leave that hanging
but
with people. Like Jazzy said, the only way that you could have rape in that situation if the women didn't feel like having sex with anybody. I didn't want that to
totally.
happen.
Totally. I think that obviously rape would still exist because there's also just reasons that people don't want to have sex, right? Like, I don't know, if you're not attracted to someone.
Yeah,
Um
I think that the reason why people have less sex than they do has way more to do with people thinking that sex is bad or dirty. It's something that should be shamed, something that you should save for one special person, and all these
well
other
also,
like ideas that I think
even
are
if
ludicrous.
you don't want to have sex, I think that that's also interesting. I don't know if you ever had done this, but sometimes like if I'm tired and
Yeah,
I like still want my partner to like feel good and I don't like particularly mind, I'm just like I just want to stay on my phone, but you can like fuck me.
yeah, I've definitely had sex when I like
Yeah.
wasn't enthusiastic about it, because
Totally.
I tell you what, this is something that is significantly worse on the man side than a woman's side. If a man says
Cuz
I
you
don't
have
want to have
to,
sex right
yeah.
now, it's like I'm taking every aspect of the
Well, you
woman's
know why that is.
sexuality and throwing it in the garbage.
Well, you
So
know why that is.
because there's an expectation that I want it all the time, and if I say no,
Well, n
then
well,
what's wrong with
no,
me
that's
that he's
not
saying no?
sure, but you know what where that comes from is that, women are taught that, our worthiness and the reason why we exist on this planet is to stay young and hot and fuckable.
I think that happens for a lot of people, but in my experience, I had a much older wife when I was 22. I was married to a 39-year-old, and if I said no, she would get so fucking mad. She's like we had sex 5 times today. I don't want to. She's like, you're 22. You should just be ready to go. Like, what's so fucking terrible
Sure,
about
but
me? Like, you're
when someone
insane.
says no to sex, it should be okay. But it's
Correct.
not like that for a lot of women because it's like, "Oh, you don't love me." Like, I think that sex means love to a lot of women because it's what we're taught to believe is true.
Oh, well, I sure as fuck hope that none of the people that I've spent a good deal of time with, any of my partners, think that it's a sign that I don't love them. I think it's a blow to the pride. And I think that there's also
That's
that
fair.
fact that nobody wants to be horny and then find out they don't get to have sex when they had like a somewhat reasonable
Sure,
expectation to be able to have it
but
with
then
their
you're just
partner.
kind of frustrated. Then you're frustrated and you're not like, "Why
Well,
wouldn't you wanna have sex with me? What's wrong with me?" That's insecurity, and that's something that's deeper. That's what I'm talking about. Not the,
yeah, yeah.
"Well,
I
fuck
think
you,
these
I
all.
wanted to fuck."
I think that all these things happen at the same time, and the insecure feelings really let themselves build on top of the other bad feelings that you're already
Yeah,
having.
sure. It's a bunch of things.
Uh,
Everything is complex. Nothing is ever just one thing.
Yes, Lorelai, I do think that sex can be special. Not sacred, but I do think that it can be special. I usually differentiate between like you can be like fucking or you can be like making love. That would be usually how I like word it. Because there are just like you can go to the movies with your partner and have it be just like whatever, but you can also go to the movies and make it super romantic. You can do special things that you wouldn't normally do. You can do things to put emphasis on your caring and all that. You can do the same thing with sex.
Yeah, there's the act of sex, and then there is, like, making love. The act of sex. This is
You looked a little
Parallax
uncomfortable with
earlier
that.
Parallax earlier said, Lav unironically allowing herself room to hold both stances always, as if that's a
Thank you for
bad
the
thing.
follow. Um,
Why do I need to have one stance on anything? My goal is to not be right. My goal is to have interesting conversations.
so I generally, when people just go after you, I usually just don't engage because, because I don't want to,
What did Will say earlier? I saw that he called me dumb. I think that Will is the dumbest person I've ever met, unironically.
I think I like Will, and I like you. You both have been nothing but very nice and respectful towards
Sure.
me. Both of you have given me space whenever we've talked
I'm not trying to
to
put
talk
you in
about
the
how I
middle of
think or
it. I'm
feel.
not trying you can feel
Um,
however you want about Will. I don't care. I'm just speaking it into existence that Will is stupid.
I understand, and like I said too, I'm in real life when I have friends that don't get along with each other, I stay out of their shit because there's things that have nothing to do with me, why they feel the way that they feel. Which is why I put that tweet out yesterday too. I don't need to see the screenshots of you, or I don't need to see the clips about you. None of that had anything to fucking do with me. Every time that you and I have talked, it's been
What
pleasant.
clips? What
Uh,
clips are like what I want to know like what they're using. Like what
uh,
are these clips that
well,
make
here's the
it so
thing.
that you shouldn't talk to me?
I don't know. I don't watch them. I don't want my
Well, you
opinion
should, and you
about
should tell me about them.
I don't want my opinion about you to be informed by things that people are selecting for one. And I
Sure.
don't want my opinions about you to be shaped by how other people feel about you. That's not how I deal with people. That's not how I interact with people. When somebody
Sure.
says, "Oh, I can't believe that you're talking to that guy. Didn't you know that like he dated this one chick and she's like the worst person?" I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. He's my friend. I don't care what you've done. If he's a murderer, let me know. If he's a rapist, let me know. If he's done something really
Oh,
terrible, let me know,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
and then
yeah,
I can
yeah.
try to figure out if he's changed, if he's redeemed himself from this or whatever. Has he done his time? Whatever.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of extra bullshit that has nothing to do with me and should have nothing to do with how I interact with this person.
Yeah, I think yeah, that makes sense. I think also a lot of it is
Oh,
the like the Hassan thing. I think it's like a witch hunt now. It's like why would anyone platform her? She maliciously lied about someone when I think we talked about how that wasn't necessarily the case. So I think that people are still acting as if I like maliciously accuse someone of something. Uh which
uh,
I understand if they believe that they would not want me to be platformed. But that is not the case.
I don't accept that either. I'm doing a video series right now about a guy that I grew up with named Steve Rogenbuck, and he became like world known famous poet. He went to 8 countries, performed in all 50 states. When I knew him, I couldn't even imagine him. I remember in high school, I thought he was asexual before I knew what the word was because sex just seemed like too gross of a dirty thing to apply to this guy. It was like too like the animal part of us, and he was just so good and pure. And he got exposed in 2015 or 2016, 2017, 2018, I don't know, one of those, for doing things that weren't illegal but like really shitty towards women. And he disappeared, and he's been gone for 6 years. And I'm showing people his art. I'm going to talk about his story, what happened, and hopefully I want to be able to talk to him too, because I think he should still be making art. I don't think that he should be using his platform to hurt women. I want to see if he's gotten better, if he's gotten help. But if he has, I don't think that he needs to hide away from the world forever either. I
That's
don't think that
yeah,
because
I
you've done
agree.
something wrong, that you need to have your entire future ruined. Things in your
I
past
agree.
should be dealt with. You need to get better. Yeah, and
I
so
agree.
even
And
even
I
if
think
you did the
that's
things that
where
people like convince themselves of or whatever, it doesn't matter to me because
yeah.
I don't see you doing terrible things. I don't see you being shitty to me.
Yeah. Irrelevant said that I was the most evil person he'd ever met in his life.
Jesus Christ.
I know. He was unhinged. I was
Uh,
like I was like, "Jesus Christ." That's a crazy thing to say. But yeah, I feel that same way about I don't know if that's having poor boundaries or not though. But no, I get what you're saying and I feel the same way. I feel a lot of that with Steven. I think a lot of the reason why I came out about the Steven stuff was because I thought that he needed help and he needed to change, not so that he would get canceled and be deplatformed or whatever. And I think that's also where Max is coming from as well. Max also wants just people to know about it, right? He just wants people to be to have like informed consent to like who they're watching. I
yeah,
think. I don't
he
know.
he suffered greatly from poor timing.
Yeah.
He well, actually no, it wasn't even him though. That this is the fucking thing that drives me insane is that he didn't announce that he was doing it publicly. Destiny did. After their
Yeah.
fallout, Destiny decided to do that and he started looking into it prior to, hey, F-bombs, thank you very much for the raid. He decided after uh or prior to them falling out to look into these things and start investigating it. And then after they stopped being cool, Destiny found out about it, and then he announced it. So it looks like the timeline was they stopped being friends, and then Mr. Girl started writing, investigating for the article that he's writing. That's not what fucking
Yeah.
happened, and people that don't want to hear that are never gonna fucking hear it. So the
No,
timing of the
that's a lot
information
of
is the big part.
that's a lot of the beast of this whole DGG thing is that, like, you cannot change the minds of some of these people, like, they've already made up their minds about you, which is, like it just sucks, but I think that's the nature of the internet, like, I don't know, I was talking with Max last night about a perfect world in which, like, Steven apologized to me to how he made me feel and, you know, a world in which he took accountability for some of the things that I had feedback for him about and how we could, be friends again and do whatever, but yeah. It is most of this is just sad, right? Because I lost a friend. I lost a lot. A lot of people, I mean, bullied me off of the platform for months. The whole thing sucks. I got nothing out of it. Not that I thought I'd get anything out of it, but
That's what I
the whole
said to
thing.
Destiny when I talked to him last about it. I said, "This just makes me sad." And he's like, "Oh, come on, give me." I was like, "Well, fuck you. That's how I feel about it. Like, I'm not doing a thing." He's like, "You're doing the thing." No, I'm not. I'm telling you that it makes me sad. I'm an
Yeah.
emotional person. When I watched Mr. Girl and Stardust fight for the second time, it made me sad. I picked up my wife from work and she said, "How are you?" I said, "I'm sad. I just watched Mr. Girl and Stardust fight." Uh, these things are sad. When I'm watching people on my fucking computer monitor or my phone, they're real people. When sad things happen, I'm sad for them.
Totally. And I think that, and part of the I think feedback that I've had for Steven and the community of DGG and part of
Thank you
what
for the follow, Coding
Max I think
Vibes.
has said is that this none of this is human. None of this streaming world is human, and we've lost so much of it. And like, I think part of what made me one of the things that made me really uncomfortable was the way that I had this friendship with Steven, and then like Melina was going after me, and I was just like, what the like it was just like
She
that's
doesn't
not
usually do that.
yeah, and that's just, like, not normal human behavior, and then she was calling me, like, evil and, like, propositioning herself above me like she's young and stupid, and I was just like, "God, if this was in real life, I would not be friends with this person." Like, I would not be friends in real life, I would not be friends with someone who let their wife attack me to my face, or, like, attack me in general, right? Like, I wouldn't do that, but there's, like, different
Sure.
etiquette for streaming, and I don't think that that's ethical. I don't think it's ethical to make all of this into, like, a public I think that there should be boundaries between you and your audience, and I don't think Steven has any, and I think that that leads to a lot of hurt and heartbreak, and I think that that's what happened with Anna, I think that's what happened with me, I think that's what happened with Mr. Girl, you know? So, that's most of it is I just wish that he could probably engage with the internet a little healthier and by extension, not hurt the people that he loves.
Tuna Chip pointed out to me that the reason why Destiny behaves the way that he does is because he lives in Mr. Grill's ideal world for people with ADHD. Instead of people that have a hard time dealing with things, we should just change society. For him, his society is all the people around them that accommodate all the things that he isn't good at. So why
Yeah,
he doesn't have to change. He
totally.
doesn't have to change for anybody because everybody is willing to accommodate any shortcomings that he has to make everything okay for him.
Yeah, and also, I mean, there's people like Not So Erudite who just say that they don't exist.
Uh,
Like, not only are they accommodating, but they're like, "No, you don't have poor interpersonal skills, you're just too much of a lover. You have too big of a heart, you give people too many chances," and it's like, "God, the fuck are you talking about?" Like, it's like, I don't know, he's surrounded himself with people who will not call him out and who will not, not even call him out because it doesn't need to be public, right? The problem is that all of this is public. The problem is that it's all public. The problem is that his professional life has bled into his real life and that chaos ensues and it hurts people and it hurts him. And it mostly hurts him.
yeah, I think I'm really careful about the things in my private life that I'm willing to bring public, even being as small as I am. Like I'm still like I'm continuously growing all the time. So like it's there's an idea that there's going to be more people noticing the things more, and so therefore there's a larger degree of harm every time I get like another follower, another subscriber. I've had my
Yeah.
wife on a panel. I'm going to be doing a stream in the future where I have my girlfriend watch the doll review, and then her and I are going to discuss it. That's
That's
gonna be
funny.
fun. It took my
Yeah.
thank you. I think it's funny too. My wife
Yeah.
and I argued for like 3 weeks about the doll review before she finally
So
understood where I
me
was
and
coming
Connor did
from.
also. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
funny.
It was a
Yeah.
good time. I wish I could go back and have her watch it initially. She was done after the fucking orange, okay? As soon as the orange happened, my wife was like, "Fuck Mr. Girl." And she was like actually angry about it. So uh it's definitely going to be a tough one to get through, but
Yeah,
there's
that's so funny because Connor, that's the only we only watched the like aftermath or the talking portion of
that's what
the
I'm
doll
going to
review
watch with my
video.
girlfriend too. Yeah.
That was the only thing that Connor had seen of Max. The only thing I'd really seen of Max until he became my dad. And so now there's like this now there's like this relationship where like Connor's like Connor's like that dude is your dad and I'm like uh-huh.
That's the
Like
guy, yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's him. Because during the thing, you know, my fiance watched it and was like, he's abusing her. And I was like, no, he's not. And then it was like, yeah.
Thank you
So
for the fellow
now
camaraderie.
that's my abusive father now.
Um, just so you know, because you said that too, I'm gonna have to explain to like at least 6 people who are gonna tell me how upset and weird it makes them feel that you guys call each other that, and they're gonna look to me to explain that to them. Uh, that happens all the time. But we had a chat about that. I get it, and people are just
Yeah.
fucking stupid to get upset about it.
Yeah, I don't even care anymore. Yeah, it's weird. Yeah,
Yes.
it's the weirdest thing ever. It's the weirdest thing ever, and we're still doing it, and it doesn't fucking affect you. So
Um,
I know.
I don't know if you noticed, but I'm actually I'm gonna go yell at him later today.
Oh.
Yeah, the Mr. Beast thing, I think, is the dumbest thing I've ever heard him
Oh,
say.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
It's
totally. No, I agree. I agree. No, I think I don't know if you saw, but I sort of made fun of him for that. I was just like, "Listen, people a net good is a net good." I think
but you
what he
can't use that
does
argument with him. He hates the net
no.
good argument. You're
Well,
just
yeah,
essentially assuring that he's gonna
dude.
freak the fuck out on you. That's not where I'm
Yeah.
going with it. He said it's wrong because he's exploiting people, poor people. Exploitation's only bad if there's harm.
Yes.
In this case, the exploitation is tricking the Google algorithm to pay for these people's eye surgery. That's awesome. That's how we want capitalism. We want capitalism to work. We
Yeah.
want you to make money by doing the right thing.
Yeah, what's
That's
his
what we
thing with,
want.
there's that, and then what's his thing with Brendan Fraser? I
So,
think, I don't know why does Max hates people who are liked?
I have the best analogy for this. Do you ever watch House, like House MD?
Oh, I love that show.
House is one of my favorite shows of all time. There's an
And me too.
episode where there's a woman who adopted her daughter, and she's like, "I don't lie to my daughter about anything." And he goes, "Oh, about nothing." And he's talking to the daughter. He's like, "Your mother doesn't lie to you about anything." He goes, "Oh yeah, what's her favorite sex position?" She's like, "She used to like it on top, but after her surgery, she likes it laying face down flat." And he's like, "This is child abuse." And he gets really mad. He doesn't give a fuck that he told her sexual stuff. He gives a fuck that she won't lie to the kid. It makes her better than him,
Yeah.
essentially. And that's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
thing
yeah,
that drives
yeah,
him
yeah.
insane. So he is out to prove that this woman lies. And so,
Totally, I was just
oh,
about to say
sorry,
that.
the lie was that the kid was adopted. She never told her daughter
Yeah.
that she was adopted.
Oh,
She
yeah,
didn't lie to her.
yeah,
She
I do
sort of
remember
lied
that
by
episode.
omission.
Yeah.
That's all I can think about when this is happening. Um,
Yeah.
and if that's what's happening, fine. But we need to talk about it then, because Mr. Beast is one of the best human beings I've ever seen. I tried looking up dirt on him. Camera guy said he felt bullied and he quit. But after he quit, he was like, it's just that he demands a level of perfectionism that I can't deal with. And sometimes he says the R word when he's fucking around with his friends, like we all call our friends that.
Totally.
That's it. That's
Who
all
cares?
I could find on him at all. Because I was like, is he really this good? And I was like, Mr. Beast, like
Mr. Girl, Mr. Beast, there's too many
yeah,
misters.
it's because they're both in this. I keep fucking it up. But I kept looking for like, like he's gotta like have done something super shitty at some point, right? And like, I'm a pretty solid dude. Just out of my own curiosity, I didn't do it on stream or anything. But I was just like, hey, there's got to be something. And no, he seems fine.
Yeah, I
He
think
seems like a
Max
regular dude who just liked to help people and found a way to profit off of it.
yeah. I think a lot of people call Max a narcissist. There's no way that dude's a fucking he's not a narcissist. He
No.
does have quite a big ego though.
Yeah.
And I think it's
Yes.
because he's really smart. He's really smart. He's thought a lot of these things through. He's a smart guy. He has a big ego. Who the fuck doesn't? That's why we're all here. That's how so many people have fucking big egos. There's no way he's a narcissist though. But yeah, he's a fucking know-it-all. That is his worst trait. He's a know-it-all. I had a fight with him last night where I was just like, you think you know everything, and you don't. And some people are just like that, and he's just one of those people who thinks that he knows everything. But how many people
Everybody
do you
thinks they're
know who are
right.
like that? Yeah,
That's why you think what you think, because you think it's right.
totally.
It's not hard
Totally.
to figure out. I
Yeah.
think you get a big ego fostered when you're around a lot of dumb people who don't interact with you. When people don't interact with your arguments, it makes you feel like everybody around you is stupid. When you
Yeah.
contest things and people wave you off, I think that's going to feed your ego, because you eventually just get to the point like, I guess they're all just too stupid to understand what I'm saying.
Totally.
I had
Which
that issue a
and
lot when I was a
at a
kid.
lot of times, I think that is true for Max. I think that is true for Max a lot. I think that he can enter a room of, like, panelists who, like, won't go to that place with him. Like, won't that you can tell haven't thought about it as much as him, can't engage with what he's saying, and so he's gotten a lot of confirmation bias that he's a fucking genius because a lot of these people won't and can't engage. So,
Thank you for the follow, Juice Boy.
the same thing happens to Smith. Smith is the same way.
I got to keep this
Smith is
brief
dumber,
because
though.
Smith doesn't like it when I defend him. He really doesn't. So I'm going to keep this super brief and say that I was dismissive of Smith at first, but once I listened to what he actually had to say, it makes me mad when I see people dismiss him. I think that
Absolutely same thing.
I don't think he's always right or anything like that, but he says a lot of things that are worth engaging in, and I think that people
Totally.
should be more willing to engage him. That's
I
all I'll
agree.
say. I don't want him to message me like, stop it. And I get it, but
Yeah.
I always I think that I try my best to defend the people that I do know, um, in this space when people are talking shit to the extent to which I think it's okay to do.
Good of you.
When it
I
comes
would
to
never
you,
talk
I
shit about
can't.
Smith.
I
I love
can't
him.
engage in a lot of defending of you because it's just going to lead in more and more people like your name can't be brought up without people like jumping in to add extra shit. Like it just makes it worse. Whenever somebody
What do you
tries to
think it
talk to
is?
me,
I don't think I'm that bad.
I
Is that
don't.
crazy?
I think
Am I
a lot of it.
missing something?
I think a lot of it has to do with the bigger conversations that you've been in.
Yeah.
Say, tell her the truth. I've already said what I think about Lav, okay? And I've already said why I don't engage with the things that other people say, because it has nothing to do with me, and I've never experienced any of those things. People in this space will hate somebody based on their feelings about a certain topic.
Yes.
It's because they don't agree with you. They think that you contradict yourself, and this sometimes makes you evil.
Totally. Yeah.
The first time we talked, I addressed something that you appeared to have two different positions on that were contradictory, and when you and I talked about it, you squared it. You broke it down and said, and I was like, oh, so you're saying this and this, and if it's this way, then it's that. Okay, this makes sense to me. And I don't remember exactly what it was. It was something about sex work, but it made perfect sense when just you and I were talking about it. But surprisingly, it didn't seem to make sense when 8 people were screaming at you about it.
Yeah. Well, I think that people have such a internal weight on being right in this space that that informs the way that they treat everyone. Like, yeah, if you're stupid, if you have a different opinion, you are bad news. If you see something differently, you're wrong, you're evil. I have undesirable personality traits for sure, just like anyone. Um,
Uh,
but I think that a lot of what's going on is derangement.
so Parallax just said that on this specific topic, he admires you to being open to both sides, because he feels like past conversations and your lack of concrete stances, it's hard to hear again. He wants you to feel like you have some consistency. He's not saying you have none. It just doesn't come across that
Okay,
way.
Parallax. My consistency is that I will always weigh two sides of a situation, and that will inform my opinion. That is my consistency. My consistency is not being black and white on a situation or going all the way for black, all the way for white. My consistency is that every single time I speak about anything, this will happen. I don't have to have one opinion. I don't have to.
I guess if you want, I can give you a piece of advice to try to avoid having people get really mad when these things happen, because I will take no stance, or in a way both stances on a thing, if people don't get mad at me for it. Would you like a piece of advice on that? If not, I'm not going to force my advice onto you.
Sure.
Um, so when there's something that's super nuanced and you can see both sides of a situation, I think it's really good idea to say, I don't really think it's this simple. I can totally understand both sides of it. And when you want to talk about the one that's so you on the one side of it, there's this thing, and then you can go all
That's
the way
good
out
advice.
to it. And then when you bring up the other side, like the other part of this that I haven't talked about yet, and that like these amount of people on this panel aren't willing to acknowledge, is this thing. And because this is so complicated with the points that I had before, and this what I'm talking about now, it's really hard to differentiate between the two on is that this is right and this is wrong. Both these things are a little bit of right and a little bit of wrong. It's really I don't think that there's a fully correct answer to say what's right or wrong. I think if you say something like that, it's a lot harder for people to be like, well, she's contradicting herself.
Yeah. No, that's really good advice. I should. I think I don't know what that is. I think part of me, because I like am autistic, I just don't understand how I'm coming off. I just don't understand how people are going to perceive the like I don't know how to do the fillers naturally. The fillers, like, I could be wrong, or it's not this simple, don't come extremely naturally to me. That just could be like poor social skills though. But yeah, that's a good that's good advice. I will put that in the bank.
Okay, sorry, somebody redeemed a channel reward where I wasn't allowed to talk for 30 seconds. I didn't mean to just leave you hanging there. Is mostly a joke when I first started streaming for my friends that would watch me. I'm known as somebody. I know myself, and other people know me as the person who talks more than anybody else they know, or that like I never shut up kind of person. So I put a reward in there to just make me. You just get to make me shut up. And I was getting really anxious. I was like, oh, I don't want her to think of being rude.
No, that was funny though. I was like, did he leave? I'm glad that you didn't leave me hanging, but
No, I wouldn't do that. Unfortunately, when it gets redeemed, I can't explain it because I'm not allowed to talk.
damn.
But it's good for engagement. Ability to trigger people is impressively honest. Somebody said that your ability to trigger people is impressive, honestly, and they're happy that you're back to feed the content machine. Now, I want to point out that it's not completely one-sided. Sometimes, like this time too, I've had people message me and say, "I'm glad you're talking to Lav," and on this time too, like she did make some good points on that panel too. But it's not as people that want to say nice things are 1 second, Faxon. People that want to say nice things about you are in shorter supply, but they are. I feel like there's very much a very clear understanding that it is going to be harder for you to get your solid points across to people because people don't want to hear you because you are
A witch.
so polarizing.
Yeah. Which I don't think anything I've said is that fucking crazy, except for the feminist stuff. I think me being anti-porn really grinds people's gears. Or not anti-porn, anti-sex work, I mean. I think that sort of calling yourself a feminist, labeling yourself a feminist, immediate L conversationally. Immediate. People don't even want to listen to you anymore. And then also yeah, there's all the controversy with me now. Like even when I entered that panel, which was really funny yesterday, I entered the panel and everyone was like, "Oh great, it's Lav." That was it. Everyone was super nice the whole time. And I was just like, "What the fuck?" Like I was like, "None of you guys have any reason to do that. I've done nothing to any of you except for fucking Kelly probably. I think I called her like a whore or something when I was really upset." So yeah, she probably had more reason to be mean to me, but everyone was just like, "Here we go," and I was just like, "None of you guys fucking know me." It's like popular. It's like popular to hate me right now. Hopefully that changes soon. Maybe I'll have a comeback. Who knows?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, Froggy Style, I do have a Discord. I'll put it in Twitch chat and then I'll throw it into the YouTube one for you because my bot only works on Twitch. Thank you for the follow, Maruda10. Um, oh shit. I accidentally opened it and it took you away. There we go. I hate text Discord. Sorry, Sfaxin. I think that people really like to have somebody to be mad at. And you're an easy target. You came from the Mr. Grill community. It took a while for people to even want to hear the things that I had to say. And I think that people are more willing to listen to me now because no matter how many times people have tried to confront me and get me to admit that whatever thing they're mad about Mr. Girl at, I'm wrong about, they've never caught me on anything. I think that, unfortunately, if you come from the Mr. Girl community, you really, really gotta fucking prove yourself before anybody is willing to hear shit. You're starting off at a disadvantage because they don't like him.
I think that amongst other things, like me being a female, um, is part of it. Uh, and also, yeah,
Yeah, it
I think
doesn't
there's a
help.
couple things. Yeah,
S-
it definitely doesn't help. I don't think it's all of it, but it's definitely not doing me any favors. Um, but yeah, there's just a lot. There's
I
just a
have a hard
lot.
time
It's
talking to
so
chat when I'm talking to
yeah, there's
somebody.
just a
That's why it's
lot.
faxing. Regular
Hopefully that
streams, I don't.
changes at some
Or
point. It's got to
just any
be
streams.
someone's got to make it cool to hype me up now.
Um, I do my best. The I think the hard thing is that I was gonna do like a deep dive on you when people are like, well, you just need to, and I was like, you know what, I don't even want to do that. I
You
don't
can.
care. Um, I don't want to though. I don't have the desire to do it. I don't know if I told you. I told somebody else before too. Like I am. There was a part of me at first. I was just like, I think I don't want to do it because I'm afraid to hate her because everybody else does, and I don't want to get caught up in everybody else's emotions and have that inform how I feel and just
Would you
end
hate
up
me?
hating. Well, I don't think so, but I don't want to
You
put
think you
myself in a
could?
position to get my own ideas manipulated by everybody else just saying so much shit. So there's a thing that happens in people when there's a lot of people saying the same thing and you're in that crowd. Aldous Huxley called it herd poisoning. That's why really prolific leaders have gotten like a lot of people to say and do things that are like really wild to say and do. When you have somebody who's speaking while everyone else is listening, you just kind of get like herd minded. And I don't do things that are gonna put me in a compromisable mental state. I like my thoughts to be mine. I rarely drink. I stopped smoking weed like 3 years ago, which I don't think these things are like that extreme. But a big part of it is just that I really like to be able to just think my own thoughts. And I get really frustrated when I realize that I was operating under somebody else's idea that that wasn't really how I thought or felt. It fucks me up. So I'm willing to base my opinions about you wholly on how I've interacted with you or how you've interacted like directly in the presence of me. Like if we're doing a thing together and you're being a jerk to me, even though it wasn't like a one-on-one conversation or whatever, that'd probably inform my opinion of you. It wouldn't make me hate you. I think I've been a jerk to people, not really trying to be because sometimes this shit gets heated. But I just think that those are the kinds of ways that I want to inform my opinions about people.
Yeah.
Because if that's how I went about it, I wouldn't be a Mr. Girl fan. The very first things I heard about him were not positive.
Yeah.
Uh, but I go based on what I see, and anything that's happened already has so much charge to it that there's really no way for me to engage with anything that you've done in the past without me getting a bunch of other people's bullshit about it. Plus, if I look stuff up, I'm probably gonna see somebody
There's
else
just also
watching it
so
too.
much there's also just yeah, so much wrong. Like there's also like there's just so much misinformation. Um like yeah, like that whole fucking video that Sick made. It was like I don't know. Like it was just like none of this is accurate. So now
Thanks, and I've never treated you poorly at all, buddy.
people think these things about me that aren't true and now they're making, they're making assessments on me based off of like this like false reality propagated by a fucking self-identified white supremacist. I'm like, you guys are really but I don't know. He was just feeding the beast that already existed, right? It's not like he started it. He was just feeding he was just feeding the beast that already existed. But still sucks. Like, I don't know. Yeah, it still sucks. I have like yeah, whatever.
Well, there's some people in my chat right now saying too, like, it's because sometimes you're wrong. Like, people are allowed to be wrong. It doesn't make you a bad person to be wrong. Like, oh my god, if you get mad at somebody for being wrong, then take that energy and figure out how to inform them in a way that they can hear you. One, nobody's gonna hear you help them understand something if you're a fucking asshole about it. Nobody cares about that's not what you're saying. Okay, well, I've heard people say that a lot. But if you're trying to inform somebody about something and they're incorrect, nobody wants to listen to somebody who's an asshole prove them wrong. That feels
Yeah,
bad.
like a fucking like irrelevant saying that I was the most evil person he'd ever met before. I'm like, you are.
Yeah, I'm
What the
fully
fuck are
convinced he
you
could not
talking
convince
about?
you of anything after that. Uh,
I'm just like at that point. I'm like, what the fuck are we talking about? Like,
what are you trying to
what do
say,
you
Haas?
mean? Like, all of it's just so. Yeah, all of it's just so fucking crazy. And what if I am wrong? Who cares? And also, a lot of these hate comments are not just because I'm wrong. That's fucking ridiculous. Like,
Well, there's the
yeah,
extra
no,
part on you're wrong, and I can't not hate people that I disagree with.
yeah. I guess that's true, but
She-
I wish that didn't exist. It's that she gets shit just because she's a woman. Instead, she's just wrong. It has nothing to do with her being a woman. I don't think it has nothing to do with me being a woman. Um, I think it has some to do with me being a woman. I don't think that it's the sole reason I get the amount of hate that I do, but I think that it has a lot to do with it, or maybe even a little. I don't know, but it is definitely part of it.
I think
I
it
think that
depends on where you're getting the hate from. If there's a lot of incels in that
sure,
community,
no,
you being a
sure,
woman's gonna
yeah.
hurt you a lot.
Yeah. I'm saying like the hate I get. I'm like people think that their own opinions of me are like what most people have been hating about me. Like the most hate I've gotten is people trying to like catch me by like posting photos of like what I look like without makeup. Like that's just misogyny. Like there's nothing that's not me being wrong. That's like them trying to like denigrate me for being ugly because they know how hurtful that is to women. Like that's a lot of it, right? So it's not like when people are like, "You're fucking stupid," I don't think that that's misogyny. I think maybe it could have underpinnings of it sometimes, but I don't necessarily take that as like this is a misogynistic act. But a lot of people are like extremely misogynistic to me, in general, which I think is just part of being
Okay.
online as a woman. But I definitely, yeah, I don't think it's all of it.
I'm seeing a lot more agreement in the chat that Parallax says like you being a woman has to do with the degrees of hatred which you get.
Sure, yeah,
Like if you say something somebody thinks is stupid, how mad I'm going to be might be elevated because you're a woman being stupid.
yeah.
From that perspective, and I think that can even work if you're a woman as well, because some women have this thing where if you are a woman and you're being dumb online, somehow you're hurting all women by doing it, which I think is also fucking stupid. You're just creating more division, and I think that's bad.
I have an internal experience of that a lot, where I get very mad at women for doing that, and I have tried to check myself, but yeah, I get it. Internalized misogyny.
Yeah,
It lives
because
within
like
all of us.
yeah, it means a woman can't just have her own opinion without it being something bigger because she's a woman. It's
And we
almost like a
don't do
catch
that with men.
22, right?
Yeah, we don't do that with any other group. But yeah, internalized misogyny, dude, it's a doozy. It'll get you. It'll get you every
Thick
time.
boys in anime. That's a phenomenal name, and thank you for
But
following me.
yeah.
It happens a lot in the trans community. Get called pick me's if they don't agree with the mainstream
Yeah.
group, and I that infuriates me. Like, how are you going to take a marginalized group and then divide it even more and make these people who finally found a place where they're not going to get judged, and then put them in a smaller box, say like, while everybody who judges us judges you, now we're going to judge you too.
Yeah.
People just need to chill the fuck out in general on people. If we have an issue with the things that they're saying, we could talk to them about it. You don't have to hate them for it.
Yeah,
That's one of the things in the
I
space
don't
that I hate.
understand. Yeah, I don't understand this like online internet. Like I have like a Reddit page where people like surveil my every movement now, and people will like watch my content and like just talk a bunch of shit about like they said that I had a nose job, or like they talk about how much filler I have, or like how fat I look or whatever. And I'm just like, I have never in my life thought about someone like that. Like, ever. Like, I've never thought I would never participate in a community like that. I would never think about someone like that. Like, I just think that's so crazy. But then suddenly that's morally permissible, right? And they're getting mad at me because they apparently I'm like a racist, transphobic, the list goes on. But I'm like, you guys like are being active, like you guys suck. Like somehow what they're doing is morally permissible. I don't know. There's this like online culture of like gossip grew, hate, war. It feels like a war zone sometimes. It's just
Um,
spooky.
a lot of people think that if you don't agree with something, if you don't agree with the mainstream narrative about people, particularly if anybody who's not a white man, if you say something negative about a person who is that or who isn't that, that you're applying this argument to every other person who meets the like minority group that they're a part of, which is insane to me. Everybody has the capacity to be stupid. Everybody has the capacity to be a bigot. Everybody has the capacity to do terrible things. It doesn't matter what their race, religion, or ideology is. We can all be good people. We can all be bad people, and it's okay to call it out.
It's
I think
harder for men to be good people.
I think in general, people have to
I'm just kidding. I'm just
oops,
kidding.
make it don't like. What did you say? It's what?
I said it's harder for men to be good people.
Oh,
But that was a joke. That was a complete joke. The misandry stuff is just funny. I know it riles people up. And that's kind of funny.
I got Erudite got really upset with me in a conversation for suggesting that monogamy is prevalent the way that is because of patriarchal society. Uh, and she said it was historical revisionism. I was like, it's not historical revisionism to say that women were treated as property, and therefore, if you think that when you get married, it should just be one person, like original marriages were very much like the wife might as well have been the property of the husband. Are you kidding me? Why would they ever want to, as some people like to put it, share when this is like my property? I don't have to share her with anybody. That was just very much the mentality at the beginning of marriages. Marriages were not seen as an
Yeah.
equal union of between two human beings.
I
It's
mean, not
not
even
historical
now.
revisionism to
You
suggest
literally
this.
get a man's last name even to this day. Like that's the standard. Like
I
that
gave
is
my wife the
seeped.
choice, like saying like
Sure, no, but
when I say I
that's
gave her the
still the
choice, I meant
standard.
I'm not going to put anything on her.
Totally, totally. But that's like still the standard, right? Is like, this patriarchal like ownership, literally the same way that you would change a slave's last name. And I'm not saying that's the way it is now, but it's definitely bled into relationships, right? Like there are
Sure.
things that are the patriarchy has been upheld in ways that are a lot sometimes like just completely unbeknownst to us right now. Um
There's an opposite version of that that I think is crazy too. My when my girlfriend got married, her husband wouldn't let her take his last name because she didn't earn it. I shit
what?
you not. Yeah, cuz I was just like Vin, thank you for the follow. I was like, wait, why isn't your last name this? And she goes, oh, I wasn't allowed to have his family name because I didn't earn it. And I was just like, what the fuck does that even mean? Uh, that's the most like batshit crazy. I'm not saying it's the most abusive thing I've ever heard, but it's like the craziest thing of abuse I've ever
Why is that
heard.
kind of sexy to me? Should I kill myself? I'm like, why do I kind of like that?
Uh, I guess that's just
That's
the
gotta
kinds
be
of
a
things that
daddy
you
issue
like.
thing. That's gotta be a daddy issue thing.
S-
That's gotta be something's in there. I got a brain worm in there for something.
Um, I think that some women genuinely like to be objectified. I think some women genuinely do enjoy being treated poorly. I think it's just a thing that they like, and I think that's okay. I just don't like the way that it gets framed. Um,
Like being treated poorly. Being treated poorly by someone and then someone saying you have to earn it because I know that you can do it. I want the best from you. You're a champion, you're a Trojan wife. I'd be like, "Oof. Yeah, I am, baby. I'm strong. A
uh,
god right beside you."
I think it's the same mechanism
Sure.
at play. I don't think it's exactly the same thing, but I think the same mechanism is at play here. Uh, I think the same reason why that's sexy is the same reason why some women like to be spit on in the face. I think it's the same. There's something in the brain there that just goes, okay, this is cool, and it can extend out to a bunch of different
This is
things.
everyone should go to therapy.
Yeah, I'm pretty about that.
If
I
you
I
if you
like
want
going to
someone to
therapy.
spit if you want someone to spit in your face, do it fine. Do it in the comfort of your own home. But holy shit, analyze why you want that to happen and heal.
It's really funny. Every woman that I know that likes that is like exceptionally aware of like where all their damage comes from. Like, yeah, I get it. Like, I had like this kind of abuse and like my dad sucked and like all these things. Like, just fucking spit in my face, okay? Let's like we just talk about this later. It's not a big deal. I understand what's up. Uh,
I don't
not
know.
not saying that most women. I'm not saying that most people don't like do understand, but in my experience, I think it's really funny because like it's always super apparent where these things are coming from.
Yeah, I talked to Brittany Simon about that actually, and how it serves a purpose for when you have it, right? Like I'm sure that to some degree that's I'm sure that most women who have those sort of kinks will grow out of them. Um with like more healing and just aging and processing of their trauma. But I guess for, you know, it exists in that space because you need it, I guess.
Uh, maybe. Or maybe none of those things are the reason, and maybe it's because we're all animals, and sometimes we need something fucked up to happen to us to activate the fucking like lizard brain in us, uh,
Maybe. I
to
think
feel a
yeah,
little
part of
more
yeah, that's
alive.
I don't know. For me, I don't know. For me, BDSM, I had an ex-boyfriend who used to beat the shit out of me. Like borderlining, just like actually it wasn't even like BDSM, it was just like actual abuse. And that was the first thing that woke me up was like seeing a bruise on my face and being like, what the fuck am I doing? And then that was like, oh, I've like completely unprocessed like I've not processed like any of my childhood. And I don't like that shit anymore
Yeah,
because now I'm in therapy.
you've spoken out against BDSM. I think it needs to not be such a fucking closeted, secret, hidden thing because almost everybody I know that likes it have had a terrible experience where somebody took advantage of that desire and did something super fucked up.
No, that's I think that this is my opinion. Do BDSM in the comfort of your own home. You're an adult. I don't think that we should legislate around it. But I believe that if you are with a partner who wants to hit you,
Uh
you should not give them a child. They should be weeded out of the gene pool.
huh. I don't know. I guess for me, I don't really care what it is. I'm just pretty cool with doing whatever I'm asked to do. I just like doing things that people like. So if they're like,
Sure,
"Hey, can you do
sure,
this?"
and
Like,
that's I
bet.
think that's healthy. That's normal, and that's fine, but also you are contributing to someone's self-harm. There are a lot of women who self-harm by having their boyfriends beat them during sex, and they don't necessarily want to, except that they wanna make their girlfriends happy, and they're not really realizing that you're like yeah, you're helping your girlfriend self-harm.
How far out's that go? Does that extend to choking, hair pulling, all that shit too?
No, I think that it's a little primal to like hold on to something and to like choking is kind of iffy and that's sort of hairy because if you're just like grabbing someone to be dominant, that's different than like obstructing their airway, right? Like to the point where you're almost passing out, I think is like very different than like being possessive and sexual and like you're like, I'm gonna hold you down and fuck you. I think that's pretty
Oh
normal.
no, no. The whole thing about choking is it's not actually the so people think that it's like you're taking out their airways. You have an artery and when you cut off the blood flow to that artery, you get decreased oxygen to the brain and it
Yeah.
increases pleasure. That's
Sure,
what it
yeah.
is. That's just the
I
press
think that
the
some people do
increased
that.
pleasure button. Yeah,
You're right.
that's what it is.
Some people choke that way, and that's the distinction I was making, is that some people do it just to, like, elevate things a little bit, but some people do it because it's, like, it hurts, and it's scary, and, it's violent,
Well,
and if
I don't think you can separate it because if you try that and then that increases the pleasure and you don't understand what's happen why how that's happening, you're just gonna associate all these things.
people who choke the way that I'm talking about rarely just choke, right? Like the people who are having violent sex rarely just do the choking thing. It's like the choking, it's the slapping across the face, it's the hitting, it's the degradation. Like there's not anyone I mean there's probably a couple people alive. But if you're into hitting and beating women and that's like a paraphilia for you, you're not going to just stop at fucking choking. So I'm not choking isn't the biggest concern for me. The biggest concern is like, leaving bruises on someone's body or like something like that, or slapping them in the fucking face, or like
I think I draw the line at just past slapping in the face. But again, These are if somebody asks for this, like I don't think you can say it's wrong.
It's self-harm. You're helping them
Uh,
self-harm. Listen, I don't necessarily have a gripe on self-harm. I think that people should be able
yeah,
to fucking do
I was
whatever
gonna
they want
say
with themselves.
I think there's an
But it is
extent to which people are
self-harm. You are
self-harming.
helping them self-harm. Like, that's just the truth.
I think it's all a matter of perspective. Like if I give somebody food that's not as healthy as it could be, they're self-harming. If they're like, hey, can you go get me a
That's
nutty
true.
bar out of the cabinet? Yeah, so like it's
If you're
there's
if you're a feeder, if you're feeding your obese, partner and they're like, "Give me cake," and you give it to them, that's also self-harm.
if you're feeding your non-obese partner and you're giving them cake, you're leading towards their future
I don't think
obesity.
I don't think that has too much of a moral weight. I think that you can help someone self-harm and that's fine. Like I said, if you are
Okay,
helping
then
someone self-harm, that's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people who actively want to hurt women and have that paraphilia. Like, it's sexy to them to see a woman crying or in pain and like whatever. I think that you should be weeded out of the gene pool. Those are the people that I have gripes with, not the people who are like, yeah, I'll help you because this is what you're asking for. I have a problem with people who like actively seek this out. People who see prostitutes because they want to fucking violate and demoralize them. People who beat the fuck out of their girlfriends. People who like to see their girlfriends cry. People who do all these things. Like, those are the people that I'm talking about. I think that they
yeah,
should be they're the first to go in the camps.
Parallax just said the kind of thing that I was about to get at here, and it's that I think it's really important that when you talk about these things, because I wasn't sure, which is why I had to ask you a couple questions. If you don't want people to misunderstand where you're coming from, like saying like I don't think self harm is bad. That took us a while to get there. You could say like I think this is like an acceptable form of self harm because sometimes self harm can be also taking care of yourself as well. There's
Sure.
benefits to these
I
things.
think we got there in enough time. I don't think that I think we got there in enough time. If it would have ran on for longer, I think I said it in the right place. I'm not gonna let you police all my language, Drazi.
Well, no, no,
Okay?
no. I was just saying that because I was worried when we were having that conversation that you were saying like it's self harm and it's bad. And I was trying to figure out a way to
Sure.
see how you actually felt about that. That was like I
I
was
get
like, oh
it.
man, I don't know.
Wait, what are they talking what does Tuna Chip say?
He's saying, do you think it's genetic?
What do I think what's genetic?
If I like if I'm seeking out a woman who wants to let me punch her in the fucking ribs, so that she breathes funny when I have sex with her. Do you think that's going to be like a genetic part of my
Oh, no, no,
genetics?
no. When I say that you should weed someone out of the gene pool, that's like a joke.
Uh,
I don't think that we should do that. I don't believe in eugenics at all. I don't believe in eugenics at all.
okay, so what I took from that is you say you shouldn't have kids with them. I think you're saying that people that are violent shouldn't have kids because they'll be violent towards their kids. Is that the
Sure.
thing?
No, I mean, that's also true. That is also true, but I also what I think I was just making a jokey way of saying like avoid those men. Like, it was just sort of like jokey and yeah, avoid those men. Like, don't. They deserve to die. They deserve to die alone. What about that?
uh, I don't think I love that either, but I think that they should get help. If you want to hurt people in general and like you just want to hurt people for the sake of hurting them, you should probably get help so that you don't feel
But
that
a
way.
lot of those people won't. A lot of people who want to hurt people are not going to get help. Antisocials, narcissists don't get help.
But those are the people who we need to help themselves.
Sure, but they won't. You have to want to get help, and they don't.
I think a lot of that starts off with somebody caring enough about you to convince you to get help or to
No,
help you
there's
help
no way.
yourself.
No. My mom's a narcissist. She doesn't give a fuck. She knows that she hurts everyone around her. She does not care at all.
I think narcissism is a very special case.
Antisocial is the same thing, and there's a lot. 1 in 25 people is a I think antisocial. Not antisocial is a sociopath. I guess it's the same thing.
I think that
Um,
the way that I view and interact with the world doesn't allow me to
there
see
was no
anybody as
inflection of that
hopeless.
being a joke, though. I'm autistic. Give me a fucking break. Sorry that I didn't. My tone. Stop tone policing me, fucker.
Why are you people saying camps? Did I miss something? Did you say
No,
camps
I
at
said
some point?
yes. I said they're the first to go in the camps. Let me say something
Oh,
fucking funny and edgy. Shut up. Jesus Christ. Tuna Chip, the fucking moral god.
tuna
Jesus
tuna
Christ.
is a morality god. Okay, I've talked to tuna so much
Morality
offline.
police.
It's just a very big morality is like his specialty.
Jesus Christ. Shut up. I don't care.
Tuna is he is joking, but he's you can't read tone in text. Come on. I think that everybody should have a one-on-one talk with Tuna at some point. I think
To
that
talk with Tuna.
you'd love to talk with Tuna.
Yeah, I'd love to talk with Tuna. Tuna tried to start a fight with me over something that we both fucking agreed with
Oh
the other
my
day on
god.
fucking Twitter. I was like, "What are you? Come on, stupid!" Because I said I called liberals leftists because they are.
Tuna.
And then he was like, "You're trying to capitalize off of the whatever." And I was like, "This is a fucking tweet, brother. I'm not writing a dissertation."
He said it's the
Christ.
best kind of fight. Yeah. Tuna's in my. Are you in my Discord? I don't know if you're in my Discord or not, but if not, if you have another way to find Tuna, if not, you can look in my Discord. He's there if you are in it. I would love to see you guys have a stream. I would be so happy to watch that. I think that it would be really good. I think it'd be funny, and I will immediately make deep fake porn out of it. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. You
And
have my
distribute
permission and
it.
consent. You have my consent to do that as long as I make a profit.
All right. Easy. Pay Kelly the $4 right now.
But I do. My house is showing right now, so I do have to go.
We're not in the Discord VC, Sfaxon. This is just a private call. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for talking to me about this. I think that I'm glad that I got to talk to you because it turns out that we were much more aligned than I thought. I didn't understand that a lot of the things that you were saying was just sort of like a overly idealized, like perfect world scenario for you. And that pragmatically we agreed like super well. And
I came in like completely neutral. I don't know if anyone noticed that I didn't literally not take a position. Like I came in because Wick wanted me to be in because I'm fun to add to a panel. Like I didn't have a solid position.
I think it's, in all fairness, first of all, Sfaxon says hi to you. I think it's really hard to tell what a lot of people actually felt about any of the shit because I couldn't fucking hear people half the time.
True.
I had to turn it off the first time I was watching it because I got a headache from it. I was like, when they said what? Even when the twin thing came up, I couldn't tell if it was the point that I tried to make or not. It was fucking nonsense. Sfaxon asked if sometime you want to talk to the three of us. She said she has to go though, so I'm trying to let her go.
I do have to go.
I appreciate you. Hopefully I get to talk to you in the future.
Yes,
I see you on
of course.
something. And wish me luck talking to Max tonight.
Yeah, good luck. Give him hell.
I'm pretty mad about it. Have a good night. Okay. Yeah. We weren't Sfaxon, we weren't in my Discord VC though. I just privately called her. I don't think she's in my Discord. Tuna. There you go. Now you get to talk to Leah. I keep calling her Leah and I feel bad about it. Phemoid. Well, then profit will be generated. Anyone deepfakes porn with me in it. You don't know that. Yesterday when Doobie said something about deepfake being made of him, and I said I got cold hard cash for it. I refuse to say her real name. Okay, yeah, you don't have to. Oh, Discord. Yeah. There you go. Oh shit, wrong one. There we go. Yeah, if you like the stream, a bunch of you did follow, and it's fucking awesome. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate everybody coming out to hear this. Later on, YouTube only, I'm gonna be arguing with Mr. Girl about Mr. Beast. I say argue because despite the fact that him and I have good communication style, I think that one or both of us might get a little bit hot about it. And I think that I might because I think that my argument is very clear, and I really find his position difficult to mentally deal with, knowing that people think this. It's a tough one for me to grapple with. He does, and I'm gonna get to the bottom of it because it's so bad. Um, such as torture, the arrest of quality volunteers. Oh, at what time? It's going to be during the hotline. I don't have a set time. It's whenever Paper decides to pull me in. But I already talked to Paper about it. I wanted to rematch him in Mortal Kombat. If that ends up being the case, I'm going to be sad because I didn't practice at all. I didn't have to pretzel myself into agreeing with a lot of the things that he said, or with the things that I agreed with. See, the thing is, most of Mr. Grill's takes that I agree with that a lot of people don't is my initial interpretation of the thing to begin with. Yeah, well, I say most because I agree with most of the things that he says. I don't agree with all the things. And when he says something that I think is fucking stupid, like the ADHD thing, like this thing, I say something about it. Even his trans takes, I think that he's wrong, but I think that he's uh, wrong. I think he did do some due diligence to go out and get the information, and I just think he drew a bad conclusion from it. So I say he's wrong for the right reasons. The reasons is that he's talked to people in the field. He's done homework. He interviewed a ton of people. He really tried to get information where it's at, and he just drew a bad conclusion. Being normal for Discord. What? I don't know what you mean. One gets what one pays for with volunteers who have to justify their checks, notes, and qualified power. I dislike Mr. Beast. I can't imagine hating him, but I understand. I genuinely just think it's exactly that episode of House that I talked about. It's exactly that. I think that his worldview doesn't allow for somebody to be that good. Um, and to me, intentionality matters, but if part of your intention is incorporated in the fact that I have to be helping people, whether it's your brand or not, that's good to me. I'm like House 2, you know. Because you're British? Fucking smart as House. Why do they let's see. Also, hey somebody online. It's nice to see you. Yeah, I agree. I have a really hard time. People I'll start to argue with somebody like in a Discord text chat or something, or even like with a person that I know in real life, and it'll get to a point like, hey, I can't do this in text. I have a hard time discussing complicated and nuanced things via text because at some point I have to walk something back because of how it was interpreted, or like I didn't type it out right. I have to be able to talk to you. It helps if I can see you too. That way I can tell that you're following along with me. I can get a feel where we started disagreeing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because being able to see somebody adds a whole nother level to the communication. You can see how they're reacting to you. Yeah, just like Sfaxon said, come into my Discord and mock me in my own house with Sfaxon. He's gonna be there stirring up some shit. Um, uh, just somebody cause a fucking problem in my Discord. I just need like 3 people to get really upset, and then I can coast off of that for like forever. My brain moves faster than speaks, so text helps me slow down. That makes sense. It's one step more towards real life face-to-face interaction. Uh, yeah. Because there's the way that we communicate is only partially through the words that we use. The body language is a lot of it. Um, and having voice and video just like helps with that a lot. I felt bad that she didn't have my video on there, but she didn't seem to mind so much, so I didn't try to do it and like have it crash. Not in loser text. I got a stupid LARP of having minimum video to connotate nonverbal cues. I'm about to get going here, but I remember because yesterday I couldn't, even though I really wanted to, raid out. If you haven't done it, please subscribe to me on YouTube. It's free. All you have to do is click a button. And I'll even put a link in the chat so that way you can catch the debate with Mr. Grill that I'm gonna have in potentially just a couple hours here. It just depends on how what point I get into it. What kind of trouble do you want to have in your Discord? I have a bunch of zoo files and wix I can bring over. I don't give a fuck. I really, as long as you can do anything you can do in other people's spicy chat in my whole Discord, with the exception of if you put anything that's strictly not safe for work, that has to be in the spicy channel. Spicy channel is just for things that have like TOS implications if they're not in that channel. If you're gonna put anything with nudity or like gore in there, then that goes in the spicy. But you can say pretty much whatever you want in my Discord. I'm not there to police people's speech. Don't fucking harass anybody. Other than that, I don't really care what you say. Don't get me in trouble with Discord, and I'm not gonna get you in trouble in my server. That's pretty much it. My rules are super easy to follow. This is my YouTube. Jesus Christ, Faxon. That's my YouTube. I highly recommend if you want to see the Mr. Beast thing, the Mr. Beast conversation with Mr. Grill, subscribe to me on YouTube. Like I said, it's free. You just click the button. And if you're watching me on YouTube, like the video, please. I have criminally low likes on my video for how many people have came and left and are still here. And they made me into this. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna try to see my wife for a little bit, and just on the off chance that he also wants to rematch in Mortal Kombat, I'm gonna play a little bit of Mortal Kombat. I seen a couple people like the video. Thank you, and everybody who followed me. There was a bunch of you today. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you very much, and thanks again to F Bombs for raiding me. Who do I want to raid? I wanted to go on Alexa's panel, but Alexa's panel, I know that I'm generally welcome there. I get invited a lot, and I need to have this conversation with Mr. Grill about Mr. Beast before it gets too far, so that way at least I know I tried to prevent it from happening. God, why are there? It's like, is really nobody streaming?
You know, fucking ranting against it. Like maybe.
No, why didn't Smug pop up on there? I can. All right, I'm gonna raid into Smugbug. There's not a lot of people that I would normally want to raid into. It's like people that I like or don't mind would be like Rhizome and Smugbug. Smugbug has less people. I'm sure as fuck not gonna raid into Poly people. So why isn't Smug popping up on here? Smug HD. Although I really wish I could do both. I wish I could have done Queen Alexa's panel and Mr. Girl's show. But hopefully I can go on to Queen Alexa soon. It's been a while. All right. Say hi to Smugbug for me. Oh, even though when it came to this specific topic, I put the nail in his coffin on Twitter after Portland buried him. All right. Goodbye. I'll see you guys later. Did it not work? Wait. Why is everybody still here? Why are my raids not working? I don't get it. Okay.